is the plan. Don't run, don't try to hide. They will track you down on the wrong side. So if you ran, if you even tried, you can find it all on the wrong side. Grab your earbuds and your K2s. Be sure to lace up those running shoes. Creaky floorboards and eerie dark mist. A poltergeist behind you, they do exist. Don't run, don't try to hide. They will track you down on the wrong side. So if you ran, if you even tried, you can find it all on the wrong side. The icy air touches your neck. You feel like screaming, but you stay in check. A door slams shut to cause a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Whispers in the back of night. Orbs rising up to take a magical flight. Don't run, don't try to hide. They will track you down on the wrong side. So if you ran, if you even tried, you can find it all on the wrong side. Grab your earbuds and your K2s. Be sure to lace up those running shoes. Creaky floorboards and eerie dark mist. A poltergeist behind you, they do exist. Don't run, don't try to hide. They will track you down on the wrong side. So if you ran, if you even tried, you can find it all on the wrong side.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Raw Side. How is everybody doing tonight? That was our new intro. And I have to give credit to Bill from Carburetors and Coffee. He helped me out with that. And I think it turned out pretty cool. So thank you, Bill. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody is ready for this show because I have been excited to have Jeff on. Exploring with Harley, guys. He is an incredible individual, and pretty much everybody knows him. And if you don't, you need to get to know him. His I have his link in the description. So if you guys want to go and subscribe to his channel, please do, and check out his adventures. And help me in welcoming Jeff. Hello.
Hello,
How
hello,
are
Laura.
you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody in the
Oh,
chat.
I've been excited to have you on. Yeah, you are just, I love you. You're great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on a long-ish break, but I'm kind of like getting out of it slowly, and the setup is kind of ready at downstairs. I just need a fucking power bar. Sorry,
It's
freaking
all
power
right.
bar. So with the power bar, I'll be ready, and I have so much footage that I have to edit, and it's like incredible footage. Like I have Fairfield Infirmary that I have to edit. I have the Queen Mary that I have to edit. All my California trip I have to edit.
Oh,
It's like
no.
I have too much in hand now.
Weeks,
you know,
weeks of editing.
sometimes like you're kind of looking out for an investigation just to put something on your channel. But now I have too much.
So at least you have some backup just in case, you don't
Exactly.
feel like going out. You got, okay, well, we'll throw this one out there.
Oh, and I'm not this coming Saturday, but on the 13th, I'm going right here in Ontario, Canada, to a place called Woodstock, and it's a manor with all kind of memorabilia's, uh, like Second World War. The guy's got a freaking embalming table. He's got
Oh,
Also,
jeez.
my friends Paranormal XP, Paige and Tara, they went to investigate there, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to go.
So yeah, just sounds exciting. Well, you've been to a lot of places. And I
Yeah,
always enjoy when you're on with Steve. Guys, if you ever seen Steve's program, Nocturnal Frequency Radio, check him out. It's always a great
yes,
time over there. And
yes, and
hey,
we
Jeff,
were.
how are you doing? Hi, Boo.
Hello, Boo. We're supposed, Steve and I, to get together, but he had from the curator of the place we're about supposed to investigate. The guy said, "Oh, our season is starting. We have too much people." But like at the last moment, the guy calls him back and said, "Well, finally, I think you're good to go for tonight." And I already canceled. I was like, "No, freaking way!" So Steve went, and it's a place that I'm kind of dying to go because I've I've seen some footage that Steve showed me of that place,
Right.
some like some DVPs that he caught. So incredible. So I can't wait to go there.
Oh, exciting, exciting. I'm going to ask you an odd question because every time I see you, and I always think about asking, but I figured I'd wait until I had you by yourself. But what is your nationality?
I'm Canadian. I'm French Canadian.
That's Canadian because you
Yeah.
look like most of my relatives, and we're Lebanese.
Well, I have my grandmother, her first husband was Syrian.
There you go. That's why.
And but I'm pure French Canadian. I have
Okay.
a little bit of Innu. It's a tribe here in Canada. It's actually Bill. I live in Trois Rivières. It's in between Quebec City and Montreal. It's right in the middle. It's the fourth oldest city in Canada, built in 1634, and yeah, I live in the French part of Canada. It's the
Oh, okay.
last bastion of French speaking
Right, because all
people.
you got, well, yeah, because you, Dom, you all speak in French, and that's just super cool. I love to hear it. But like I said, every time I see you, I think, he looks like my family members. I said, so I got to find out what.
Well, lots of people, and that's odd because I don't have any relations of the Syrian part of my family. My grandfather, my grandmother's second husband was a an English immigrant. He
Right.
came to Canada from England and met my grandmother, and his name was Foster. So on my mother's side, my name is Foster.
So yeah, well,
Well,
no, you can see it in you. You look Syrian. So it's just to let you know. So they got thinking, God, he looks so much. Maybe we're related, but it's a
never know. Probably I have.
yeah,
I want to take a DNA test, like just to see. I'm really curious. I'm really curious to
right.
know about.
Because you never know what you're going to find. Jeff, I don't know how to share it from your phone. Um,
Oh
maybe
my
that's
God!
something that Bill can figure out. Yeah, I've never
You got the
shared.
three dots. Yeah, and you click on the three dots.
Yeah, maybe that's how you do it.
Usually when I'll drop the volume, but when you go on your phone, usually when your volume down. Well, to share it, the share is right here, or if you go on the front page, you got three dots right here, and you got share right here.
Oh, there you go, Jeff. There. See, we all try to help. Jeff over here is full of all the information that we need. Okay, we're just gonna start off with pretty much tell us who Harley is.
Well, I am 50 years old. I am a retired Canadian Armed Forces veteran. I was in military service from 1992 to 1999. I went to
Wow.
Bosnia and Herzegovina in 1995 as a UN peacekeeper, and I went to the Canadian Forces Station Alert in the North Pole.
Wow.
I went on the top of the world, so I went around the world, but the other way, the way up.
That's amazing. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome.
Hello, Jonathan. And yeah, I got unfortunately kicked out of the forces in 1999 because PTSD was starting to settle in my brain, and the army was going to a new kind of phase, and well, they didn't need any problems like us UN peacekeeper veterans. So lots of veterans with PTSD got declassified, medically declassified. So
Right.
it's like a nice way to say they kick you out.
Pretty much, right.
So after the army, I went from one job to another looking for who I really was and missed lots of opportunities in the movie business and the television business. PTSD was too bad at that time,
Right.
and 2021, everything just exploded, and I ended up in my basement with my 355. So graphic. I This is kind of this is my life. So I went in the basement with my 357 Magnum, and I was kind of deciding if I was repainting the basement with my brains or if I was living. And here I am.
We're
And
glad you chose living.
and then the Veterans Affairs decided to say, "Hey, you're gonna take care of yourself now." So, but they say, "How can you do? How are you gonna distract yourself?" And I've always been fascinated and drawn to YouTube and like filming, and I was trying to find a niche. At first, I wanted to do exploration, kind of like abandoned stuff and that kind of stuff. But I've been fascinated by the paranormal since I was a teenager. I've seen a television show. I think I was 13 or 14 years old, and the guy was doing like EVPs on their big reels, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I was fascinated by that. I was listening to every freaking television shows on UFOs, on Bigfoots, on everything supernatural. I was drawn by it. But comes like you come 18, 19, 20 years old and you don't really believe in that stuff anymore. And before leaving for Bosnia, I played Ouija with a friend in a haunted house that we have here near my hometown, and then make that made me kind of, the thing that makes you go
Right. Right.
the board went like that.
Oh, wow.
The planchette never moved. The board and the sound was like somebody was pushing on it and turning it.
Oh.
So I went like, okay, I'm getting the
I'm done
frick
with
out of
that.
here.
Yeah.
And all my tour, I was kind of fascinated. I was it's like, is it him? Is it? And I was asking questions. When I got out of the army, I was working as a security guard in Montreal. And Montreal, just so you know, it's one of the most haunted cities here in
Wow.
Canada, I think, because
Right.
the city was um, the the island of Montreal was a center for all the Iroquois nations to come and do trade. It was kind of a holy place for the Iroquois nation. So when the French decided to build a fortification on the island of Montreal, the natives didn't like that. So there was like
Um,
war all the time. The French, when they had reinforcement, they decided to massacre some poor native. when the British came over, Montreal was really a place where trauma and death, hangings, massacres. There's downtown Montreal. It's a park now, but there's a mass grave where over 4,000 bodies are buried because of cholera.
Wow.
So, and I was working as a security guard in the whole part of Montreal, and I heard a noise in an office that was supposed to be empty. When I go open the door, I unlock the door, I open the door, like a cloud went through me, and it was freezing cold. And when it went through me, my breath went like, sh- I cut my breath. I took a couple of steps back, and I say, "Oh, don't don't do that again. Instead, like knock or close the door." When I say close the door slams.
Wow.
That made me a believer. That made me like, and I did some research, and I found out that the original building where I was in, like doing my round, that building was originally 3 stories high, but some promoter decided, well, let's build like 10 more over it.
Oh
Now it's
boy.
now it's 13 stories high. But when they were building the additional floors, a worker fell down on the roof of the original building.
Right.
So could it be that worker that roams around in the building, kind of thinking that he's still alive or something? So, but it's kind of fascinating when I did my research that I found out that a worker unfortunately fell to his death on the roof of that building.
Right.
So that's what I love when I do investigation. It's researching afterwards and find out that everything you research goes with your investigation. So yeah, and here I am today after 20 odd years of researching myself, kind of looking for a goal to my life. Well, I found out an awesome community on YouTube, great friends. I'm meeting people from all over the world. It's like I'm having the best time of my life.
Oh, that's wonderful. That it is. It's wonderful. Um, it's you found your hidden passion and you're just running with it. And that's the fantastic part about it.
And the movie
Again,
making part
go
of
ahead.
it
Yeah.
is is
Yeah.
is so fun because we're making kind of short movies for and but we're showing our experiences, and it's so fun to do it. It's it's bringing people with you through into your investigations and trying to make them feel what you felt when doing that investigation. Yes, it's Montreal's beautiful city. Yes, Michelle, hello, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome. Uh, yeah, I've never been to Montreal. I was in Canada, I think, for 10 minutes. And what the problem was is that we were young and we didn't understand because your mileage isn't in miles, it's in kilometers. And we're like,
Kilometers, yes.
okay, are we speeding? We didn't know what we were doing. So we turned right back around and went back home. Uh,
It's
but
not too
everybody I know that's
complicated.
been to Canada says it is beautiful. And I did notice as we were driving, even at that age, I was a teenager, is thinking this the highway is so clean and it had
Yep,
flowers.
yeah. But some of them have really big potholes because,
Oh, all right. Well, what we
well,
saw was gorgeous.
with
Um,
the snow and the frost and defrosting and everything, it's hard on the roads. And when I go riding my motorcycle, I'm always really careful so like a wheel doesn't catch a
right.
crack on the road or a massive pothole. Yeah, I never crashed, touch wood, but
Oh goodness. Hopefully you're wearing helmets and all the gear that you need to
oh
wear, and
yeah.
because it blows my mind when people are motorcyclists and they wear nothing. They even got shorts on. I'm thinking, what are you people are
Oh,
crazy.
the day he's gonna fall and like slide on the asphalt. Probably
Yeah,
he's gonna
yeah,
wear
road
some
rash.
pants. Yeah.
It actually happened to
And-
my uncle once. He slid and yeah, all down his side, all road rash, and it lasted for months because it just took
Oh,
forever to heal. And hi, Rooster, how are you?
hello, Rooster.
And yeah, I wouldn't. So when I see that, I just cringe. I'm thinking, oh, all they need is to hit a rock or something, and they have no skin.
Yeah, and and one of my friends, she's a nurse and she works at the operating block here in Trois-Rivières, and Trois-Rivières is like kind of trauma center for all surroundings. And when they have like massive like crashes, like car crash and motorcycle accidents, they have them over there. And she told me like when you get those little rocks out of a wound, it's really, really fun, especially when the guy is yelling,
He's
ah,
screaming. Yeah,
because even if they try to freaking get like some kind of um anesthetic, sometimes it's so
yeah.
deep that when they pull it out, it hurts.
It's just
Gonna
awful.
hear some noise because my family is arriving from the
That's
restaurant. And
okay. Hi, Joe.
hey,
Welcome.
Joe, hello.
Tell them to wave as they go by.
Yeah, that's my little daughter. She's
Gotta
they're
wave
a
as
bit
they go past.
they're a bit tired. They went to the aquarium with their aunt today, so bye bye,
Nice.
bye bye.
Hi. Yeah, she's like, I don't care.
She's tired. When she's tired, she's kind of
Long
my
day,
son.
Dad.
My son is a little bit more uh probably he's gonna wait.
A little more outgoing, just
Yeah,
kids, yeah, when they're tired, they don't want to know nothing. All they want is the kitchen and then to go to bed.
yeah. I have a 2020 Street Harley Davidson Street Bob built. It's all black with a 103 cubic inch engine, stage one. So,
Welcome back, Tom.
hey, Tom.
Yes,
That's
Bill
right.
has a collection of motorcycles at his house.
Oh, wow. And my bike is the bike that I was dreaming of when I was 16 years old, with that layout,
Awesome.
black, the wheels black and
Right?
everything. People will say, well, Harley Davidson, you have to be chrome. No.
Yeah, no, it doesn't all have to be that way. Everybody has
No.
their own,
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Hi,
Yeah,
there he is. Hey, cutie.
my son Zachary.
Oh, it's nice when they're younger. And it's the
Yep.
missus hiding in the corner.
Yeah, she's tired as well. Long day at work, and she had to go pick up her dad too, because my our sister and my brother-in-law live all the way down the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, and it's like 10 or 12 hours drive for
Oh
where we live.
boy.
So it's very far. It's far east, like all the way
Right.
east of Quebec.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a ride.
Karen!
Hi,
Hello,
Karen.
Karen.
Two Karens.
And Karen and Karen.
Karen and Karen.
And
Lovely.
Karen
How are you, ladies?
and Karen must it probably will be good morning because I think it's
Yes, I know. I always forget the time difference.
Thursday morning in Australia. So
And I send her like messages and I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning there. And it's like, 8 o'clock at night here. And I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry. You just don't think about it. I'm like, oh, I got something I want to send, and you send it, and you're thinking, oh no. So I'm always
it makes
apologizing that, for the hour.
and it makes it hard sometimes to try to drop a video. You want to drop a video so all your subscribers, everybody could see it, but with time zones, it's so freaking
It is
hard.
it is hard. Yeah, see, it's 9:30 Thursday morning
About to
there.
drive, so be safe on the road and
Yes,
have
be
a
very careful. No texting
nice
and watching at the same time. Just
and have
listen.
yes and have a nice day over there.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I know. I always feel bad because I just get screwed up about it because you just don't think about it. So, and then when I
Yeah.
book people, I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, I got to tell them what time because I usually do it at my time, and then God knows how many hours it is for them difference. And
Yeah.
and
When I
you,
used
like you
to do
said, there's so many people that are doing lives, and it's all different time zones. And like Fantastique, I always, when does this woman sleep? Oh my goodness, the time she does her stuff and then she's on everybody else's stuff. And I'm thinking, she doesn't sleep. She just walks around like a zombie, and she has to on continuously. But thank God she's got that kind of energy. I get to a
Yes.
certain hour and that's it. I'll be watching you guys or somebody online, and I pass out and wake up 2 o'clock in the morning and my phone's still going and I've been sleeping.
And
I,
it's hard on the body traveling and everything,
yeah.
and for people that don't travel a lot, it's especially driving, especially driving it when you're alone and you have to drive like 13, 10, 8 hours.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's hard on the body, but sometimes it's all so worth it. Like when I went to Indiana, I drove 2 days in advance. I stopped in Ontario. I had an hotel near. I was going to the Monroe House. Well, before I was doing the jail next to the Monroe House, the
Right.
Blackport County Jail, and I book a room in Gas City, right next to Hartford City, because every time I go and I drive a long drive and I arrive to my investigations, I'm gassed out. I'm like, frig. And sometimes you have those spirits that pull energy out of you, and
It's
everything you do all the time is you yawn, and you're like, holy shit, am I gonna fall asleep or what? It's like,
yeah. That's happened to my husband on the drive back from he went to go visit his sister in Missouri, and he fell asleep twice while driving.
oh
And what
my
woke him
God.
up was going under a bridge. The shadow woke him up.
Oh my God, that's the dangerous thing.
Yeah.
It happened to me one time, fell asleep on the wheel. I was coming back from an exercise in my young days. I was coming from a month and a half exercise, and I wanted to go to my folks' home like really bad. And I was driving my car and I fell asleep, and I went around a bend, not crashing. I was doing that road so many times it was like embedded in my head.
Right. Oh, you're so lucky.
Oh yeah, I had to stop on the side of the road and like take a breather, and oh my
Right.
God.
Well, yeah, that's when he realized, okay, I can't drive straight through anymore.
Yeah, no, no, that's really that's too hard. And sometimes I come back from a road trip and I'm drained. I'm completely drained. Even when I came back from my trip to California, just taking the plane, and it. I don't know if it's harder being PTSD than like when you don't have PTSD, you know.
Right.
Um, Usually I have to carry around my big furry dog, my golden retriever, because I need a service dog to go to certain public places.
Right.
But when I go, like when I went to California, I was so amazed and so impressed by everything. Like it was my dream of mine to go to California since I was a kid. So, but sometimes you don't think, and being sometimes with great people, with Matt, with Elena, when I met Jaden, Mandy, whenever I meet some great people, when I collab with people, it's so refreshing and brings me back to reality. And it's really it's beneficial for me. So
Right. That's good. It's a good therapy. So yeah, it's if that's what makes it go, then that's what you do. All right. Well,
exactly.
you pretty much said, have you ever had Any personal experience when you were younger, or did it happen when you were just older doing investigations?
Mostly older. Um, Younger, we were living in an area when our city is fairly young, 1898. So, beside the native tribes that we had in the region, we don't really know what really happened around here. And our houses were always fairly new. So,
Right.
like, my dad was like, I want to be the first one. I want to be the first owner. So, yeah, all our houses were like brand new construction. So, no previous owners, no kind of death or. And sometimes a person doesn't have to pass away in the house. You can have somebody that is so attached to his house that
Yes.
even if he pass away, he's gonna go back to his house because it was his house.
Right. Yes, I've seen many stories like that.
So,
Even just
so
well, not it could be not just the building; it could be just the property itself.
yes, also, so never really, but the only thing that really happened to me was the Ouija board planchette and that freaking cloudy thing in Montreal.
Right.
And throughout my investigations, I never really had anything that kind of really
Oh, excuse me.
frightened me. Probably one thing, one time we were closing our investigation, kind of picking up everything. And it's always when no cameras are shooting.
Always.
And we're investigating the place is in New Brunswick. It's called the Dorchester Jail. If you guys come to Canada, you're in New Brunswick, go and rent a room at the Dorchester Jail. It's an Airbnb, and it's incredible. They let you investigate wherever you want to go in
Wow.
the jail,
Hi,
and it's
Julie. Welcome.
hey Jaya, and it's the site of the last double hanging in Canada. There were two brothers. They were called the Bannister brothers. They were 19 and 17. They were accused of kidnapping a baby for their sweet mother, and they set the house where they stole the baby on fire. So they killed the the parents
Oh,
that was in the house, and the mother never got anything. It's just the kids, and the kids were kind of not inbreed, but kind of a little bit of they didn't really knew what was happening. Like the
right.
youngest of the Bannister brothers, right before being hanged, he asked the hangman what was happening. And the hangman just told him when he put no, that the rope was too tight. And when he loosened the rope around their neck, he asked, what's happening? And he told them, just say your prayers. And at that moment, the trapdoor opened. Their
Oh,
neck didn't snap. They choked
to
for
death.
21 minutes.
Oh my, that's horrible.
Yeah. But the place is active. I mean, I was bringing my cameras and all my gear from the place where they dropped, and there was a sign leaning on the wall, but leaning on the wall. And it went like that. And when it crashed on the floor,
Right.
we have specific swear words in French, especially here in Quebec.
Or it
And
sounds a lot better.
yeah, one of them is like tabarnak. Dumb is know what it means. It's the tabernacle in the church. And um, I just shouted that, and my friend Lomar came and running. It's like, what? Are you okay? Yeah. And he asked, what was that crash? When we went, we saw the sign, and it was the picture of the Bannister mother, May Bannister, right before her son got hung. And it's really a poignant picture. You see the mother with her handkerchief, she's crying,
Right.
and just and the picture was taken right there where right before they put the rope around their neck and just
Right.
yeah, and yeah, exactly. So it's a big F word. Uh, so
I'll have to learn
so
how to say that.
yeah, so that was one of
Mm.
a good one, and the doll that just went ding at the Monroe house. You know when you don't even know there's a wind up doll that chimes on the freaking tablets and you're investigating and nothing, not a sound, not even when I was laying out my cameras, nothing. I asked one question about bad entities, doll go ding
Huh.
on one of the tablet. I went chills went right through my body. I was like, oh my God. And everybody goes like the demon house, like I'm sleeping here tonight. Am I gonna
Right.
wake up tomorrow morning like my face scratched out or anything?
Yeah,
So
that would make you think that. That's for sure.
that that was spooky, but at the same moment, really interesting because it wasn't not even one of my devices that made a sound. It was a random doll on the tablet. It could have been one, probably somebody wanted up a
Right.
couple of investigations before, probably. But it's really odd that throughout all the times that I went into that room, even when I set up a camera right beside that doll, nothing. And at that specific moment, that was cool.
Did you try to do well? And obviously, you probably did. Was try to debunk how it would, what would set it off?
I went to check it after and I kind of tried to unwind it just to see, and it wasn't really like when I really had to force the thing so it goes ding 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 ding.
Okay.
It plays a couple of notes, but it wasn't kind of wind up and it got stuck. It could have been like just like, but it
On the
went one
edge.
time
Right.
and I re-asked another question and it did it again. And afterwards, stop.
Huh. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So that was really, really interesting. And the Monroe House is such a great place to investigate. So yeah.
It's well, yeah, it's nice to be able to go to some of those places and actually catch something. Uh,
Oh,
Seeing with the like the reputations that they have and everybody that goes there, and at least somebody's going to find something. So
well,
it's
just the first time that Matt went there, just in the basement, finding what they found was like kind of uh, it's bizarre. Like to find freaking ritual stuff in the basement of a house with human bones and like talismans and stuff like that. It's they were not doing the Sunday church, let's say.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing that creeps you out. Because then you think, God, what were they doing? And I mean, you know what they were doing, but I mean, how far did they go to what they were doing?
Exactly on what extent they went there,
Yeah.
and another place when I really found felt uneasy was at the Jim Jones Church in Lynn, Indiana. Um, the place is like kind of a random church, like normal church. You go in there, you it's like a service or something just happened like 5 minutes ago. It
Wow.
looks like an active church, but when it was abandoned for 3 years, and they just left. They just left everything there,
Right.
and it's the place where Jim Jones got his first Bible. It's where he started preaching, and throughout all investigation, we're in a church. We're supposed to feel welcome, to feel good, to feel serene. No, that place you feel like somebody's gonna jump in your face like every second, or
Right.
i- i- you hear noises, you hear talking, and you know there's nobody else in the place. Tommy cut an EVP. We had when we asked who was with us on the portal bus, we had Jim. Like
Oh.
really, it was. Oh my God. Okay. And knowing that we're trying to communicate with Jim Jones, like having coming through, and like I always say, if he was a hey hole in life, he's gonna be one in the afterlife, and
Oh yeah.
probably he's arguing with God, like no, I'm the God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's something, all right.
Yeah, he's gonna give Kool-Aid to everybody up
Yeah.
there.
Jeez. It's such a. I've seen the documentary, and it's just heartbreaking, and it tells you
It's
exactly how easy it is for a human being to be brainwashed.
especially to manipulate people that are grieving, that are
Yeah. Are looking
into
for a place to
vulnerable.
belong, and
They were vulnerable people,
yeah.
unfortunately, and he took advantage of them,
Oh
and
yeah.
some of them paid, unfortunately, with their lives. So,
Yeah. It's very, very scary. Uh, I noticed, Eric, you're
well,
talking about your equipment. How important is your equipment to you during an investigation?
well, it's somehow important and not. Uh, I could go like without anything, just like a recorder or basic. But I want to bring something visual. I want to hear something. I want to see something. I'm a kind of I want to try to debunk what's happening.
Right.
I want to okay, that I cannot explain. And yes, and that cemetery, both cemeteries I went, my music box went off. Could it be a bug? Probably. But at the both time that music box went off, no bugs were around, especially around that thing. And
Right.
I don't think that a mosquito has enough mass to trigger it. So it was sometimes you can't explain it. Like 95% of the
Excuse me.
time, you can't explain what's happening.
Right.
But the 5% that you cannot explain, that's what I love. Because sometimes a REM pod can go off. Okay, everybody's phones on airplane mode. Okay, I've tested my lav mics. I went close to the freaking REM pod. I went everything. I yelled in it close to the REM pod. The only thing that can affect my mics can affect is a K2 if I put it really close to it or
Right.
between me and the receiver because it's going to catch the EMF between
Right.
both of us. But the REM pod, you have to physically break yes, it's an aerial, but still, you have to break the field to trigger it.
Right.
And I had places that the REM pod. I did an abandoned house in Nova Scotia with my friend Lomar, and the REM pod was silent for ages. Couple of little hits. All of a sudden, it decides to go AWire. It goes up to the freaking orange light. I go to reset it. I'm like 6 inches from it. It stops.
Huh.
We're right in the middle of the woods. It's like, try to explain that.
Right. You're trying to figure out what it was picking up, or I mean, because you're in the middle of the woods.
It's like we didn't hear anything, like no ATVs, no pickup trucks went up the road, anything. We would have heard them. And we're going around the house, and I heard talking at one point of time, and I thought it was kids that was coming. They were coming to the house to hang out because it's like a hot spot for kids to hang out in that small town. It's
Right.
a little village in Nova Scotia, and that house has the reputation. of being haunted. It was a stagecoach hen back in the day. So
Right.
it's a huge house. It's massive. It's like, how come that massive house is abandoned in the middle of the woods? And yeah, and people go there to do rituals and stuff. So
And right. Of
I
course they
I
do.
and I love using them. I love using the flashlight. People don't like the flashlight. I had crazy results with the flashlight. Sometimes it's random, but I had answers with the flashlight that I can't still explain to this day. Like the
Right.
flashlight is off like for half an hour, for an hour. You turn around, you ask a question, can you turn on the flashlight? And it turns on.
Turns on.
And it's like try to
Yeah, there's a
explain
big
this.
debate with that with the flashlight deal. So
Yeah, it is still and like everything that we use, we have to take with a grain of salt.
right.
It's I sometimes I reply. I will thank if my REM pod goes off. I will say thank you because I don't know. It could be a spirit. If it's a spirit, well, I'm gonna thank him. Thank you for it.
Right. Right. Hi, Spookfest. How are you?
Hello, Spookfest. So
Um, my question is because I don't have a REM pod, so I've never actually used one. I've done some research on them, but in actuality, when you're using it, you actually have to break the field for
yeah,
it to go off. It won't go off by vibration
no,
or nothing like that.
no. I've tried everything. I've investigated under the rain to try if the rain could set it off. Like a little minute drop of rain and never went off. But I immediately went in the car because I didn't want it to get wet. But I've tried things with my devices, and I even know that a REM pod can be triggered with a simple plasma ball. And sometimes you have to just touch the plasma ball and stretch your arm, and the REM pod will go off. Or
Okay.
if the plasma ball is too close to the REM pod, and it doesn't have to be like this close, like from me to that wall over there,
Right.
and just it could trigger the REM pod. So sometimes if you use a device to help you, like I don't know, EMF pump or whatever, you have to be really careful because you're putting EMF in the air. So if you have
Right.
an EMF detector or a K2 or even a REM pod, it could be triggered.
So
So
this is a great the tools needed to be used correctly. It's hard unless you are getting some what intelligent responses, but the best is personal experience.
exactly, because it's what you hear, what you see, what you
Right.
feel.
Right.
Um, I go to investigation sometimes. I don't feel anything. I feel perfectly fine, and I will have activity. But I've noticed recently that when I go to places where the activity, especially where the energy is really negative and really dark, my anxiety is like through the roof and I sweat. It's like I react like I have a like I'm about to be sick.
Right.
Like I'm about to have like a massive cold or the flu or I don't know, I'm gonna
So
throw
that's
up.
actually yeah, an extreme reaction.
I react, my body reacts,
Right.
I just noticed that
Excuse me.
recently. So could my body could be a device, but
A giant antenna.
yeah, but putting lights and the speaker in my mouth, I don't think that's gonna sell.
Put the light bulb in there, and if something happens, it lights up. Yeah.
Yeah, like do an Uncle Fester with a
Uncle
light bulb
Fester,
in my
right?
mouth.
They'll start be calling you Uncle Harley.
Yeah, with the light bulbs in my mouth. So I use my devices so, mostly for the video, for the visual, for kind of putting something so the audience can see what's
Right.
happening and what's because like talking in to spirits, taking EVPs, or trying to listen to knocks or walk or anything could be really boring for a somebody that listens and watches. So sometimes they want you to walk around, tell about a little bit about the history of the place and show
Right.
you the place, show you around the place. So that's why sometimes I go around and lay out a couple of things
Hi,
and
Carla.
around Carla. Carla, congratulations on the new position. She's like,
Yes.
I don't know if the supervisor of the cemetery, but she's got like a new job at the cemetery where she
Yeah,
works.
superstar.
Congratulations. Yes. And she's
It's
a
great when
lovely,
you advance in a position that you really enjoy. So
yeah.
you good luck
And
with that, honey.
she's such a lovely lady as well.
Yes, she is. Karen's making me jealous. She's making chicken and dumplings. I had a
Mm,
donut for dinner, guys. I
yeah. I just went to the restaurant. I went to the restaurant. I ordered before everybody, and I ate. And I went, "Oh, I gotta go. On the podcast." Bye.
It's like, oh man, everything I just didn't feel like doing it, and then I got late, and I go, okay, hurry up, shoved a. Oh, Dom had a pizza full of meat. Yeah, keep rubbing it in.
Yes, Senior Spook Fest, and that's the thing. Unfortunately, because we have to like, how can I put it? The fakers, the fakers add so much use the devices the wrong way that they rendered them like not obsolete, but that's bullshit. Or he's using that, he's a faker. Or he's using it, you know, it's
Right,
it's not because I'm using, I don't know, the flashlight that I'm a faker. It's not because I'm using Spirit Talker that I'm a faker. It's not because it's because I had great results with those devices. Uh, I have other devices that I don't really use anymore. Cat balls, for example. Sometimes I will lay a couple, but sometimes it's like, why?
right.
So, and cat balls are a hit in my opinion, or a hit or miss.
Yes,
It's sometimes it could be an answer, sometimes could be really random, could be the little piece of foil that keeps like going on
right,
the
right. Yeah, it could
contact
be anything
already.
could be faulty with them.
Exactly.
They break very
So
easily. I mean, I've got one that you could beat the hell out of it with a hammer and it still won't go off. And it's that it's worthless as far as using it for anything else.
exactly. So I would mostly use like my ADI, the RAM pods, flashlight, like I say, whatever people will say. Yeah, I will believe it the day that somebody's gonna do a test like in a lab in a really controlled environment, like
Right,
not an environment well they control the environment, you know.
right.
it's it's
Uh,
like people sometimes try to debunk a device, but they will they will render it a bad thing. Well, you can trigger a rampart with a CB. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that everybody's using one.
right,
But because he said that, everybody thinks that somebody that uses a RAM pod and it triggered, that somebody's hiding with a CB. And a RAM pod hit with a CB, it's not the same. Hey, finger, thumb. It's not the same that, just a little green light once in a while.
right,
Because when you push on the walkie-talkie, the freaking thing, it's like a grab. If you see the red light going, wee, 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 that's a CB.
right.
That's out of the question. That's a CB hit. That's not a grab. That's a CB hit. I'm sorry, that's a CBU because I went to places that people have ramparts going nuts, and mine went like beep, beep,
Right.
beep, beep, beep. That's it. So that's the sad thing about investigating in places that sometimes you will have those big YouTubers that go there, and it's like the the walls bleed, like it's like
Right.
everything
Right.
flies around. You go there and you catch barely anything, and people going, "Well, you're not good because so and so caught the walls were bleeding." Okay, because he made them bleed.
Right.
you know.
Exactly. So yeah,
So
that's the damaging part of the fakers, and that's why I think the debunkers are so important because they're getting it out there that these people are pretty much full of shit, and
it's
so then like when you guys go out or I go out or anybody that's really doing it for a real reason and it's for real, we look bad.
unfortunately yes, and that's the sad thing, and unfortunately people think because they're big YouTubers, they can control whoever they want, and
Yeah.
that doesn't work like that. It's like we're all rowing in the same direction. We're supposed to.
Yes.
We're supposed to be in the same freaking boat. So don't rock it because we're all gonna drown.
Pretty
so
much. Pretty much.
and AI, that's another thing. People go ahead and utilize AI to enhance whatever, and the truthful people, and who fakes.
Right.
And like Beardo says, slowly but surely the fakers are realizing that
I
it's
think so. I
it's
do
not
think
the thing
so.
anymore. And you still have those channels that are kind of trying. I just the other day, I was like, what? A channel, a food channel started re reacting to freaking Zach Bagan's videos. But you see, like way before, you see like cooking videos, and it's all in indie, and all of a sudden it's like all freaking Zach Bagans. It's like what? It's like it, people are trying to kind of diluting the field,
Yeah.
and we don't need that. We have a
Hi,
great
Michael.
hey Mike, we have a great community, and we are looking for the same thing. We don't need people coming in like, oh, paranormal is a trend now, so I'm doing paranormal. It doesn't work like
Right.
that. We're doing it for a goal. Most of us are looking for answers. I'm looking for answers because I'm going over there. I'm 50.
You
I probably don't have 50 left. All right. So, and we all
uh,
want to know what's on the other side.
right.
People,
Or we've had our own experiences and we want answers.
exactly.
So
People want
it's
to talk to their loved ones and stuff like that. So we don't need people coming and trying to rock the boat to throw everybody out, and kind of you know putting a bad atmosphere in the community. We have a
right.
great community, and it has to be like that.
You say, Jonathan says, an unfortunate truth to actually conducting research is the most research is mundane. And yeah, it is monotonous and it is, but I mean, that just goes with the field. I mean, you have to do the research. And I know research is important to you, Jeff, because you guys do a lot of it before you're doing what you're doing, and after the fact. Because then that's when you really find out who the fakers are because they don't have the research down.
No,
The stories don't
and,
match whatsoever.
and like Joe does an incredible job one job, sorry, when he
Yes.
goes and research. When I did the Monroe House video, I asked Matt and Joe, do you want to do an interview? Because you're probably the two guys that spent the most time in that place that I know of. Matt's been going there since 2017. Joe stayed, I think, at least a week in the place, and you
Right.
did lots of research on the place. So that's why I go towards uh, those investigators because they have the knowledge that I'm looking for. And I'm not a certified historian, but I'm an amateur historian. So I research
Right.
for the history for any kind of relations with historical facts that could have happened in the area if it's not the building itself, like the Hinsdale House. People, oh, it's the land. Of course, it could be the land because it was the place all northern the northern part of northeast part of the United States, and especially like New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. They had lots of skirmishes with the British and the Americans during the American Revolution.
Right.
And there, the area where the Hinsdale House is, I I I kind of came to a conclusion while investigating a place here in Canada. I was investigating a place called the John Johnson Manor House, and that John Johnson was a landowner in the southwestern part of the New York State, and his land was called the Mohawk Valley. And when I researched the Mohawk Valley, what's in the middle of the Mohawk Valley? Hinsdale. So that was the places where the loyalists were doing skirmishes with continental forces. So they're not big battles, but there are still battles that happen in that area. Could
Yes.
have happened there? We don't know. We don't have any written records of it. But you have to look through every part of the history. You have to look in multiple layers,
Right.
because if you go back only to the fact where the house was built, the house was built like in 2000. Yes, but before that there was a house there, like, and it burned down and all the family passed away.
Right.
That kind of story that you could have. So you have to really research that.
Yes. Well, yeah, I like, I don't know if you noticed the pictures I posted. I posted a couple of them. And I also took video, but the video didn't come out, which really ticked me off. So I'm gonna have to go back. But I did go up to
Whoa.
Steuben, the town of Steuben here, and that is all has to do with the Revolutionary War. General Steuben, that's the town's named after. And I found a cemetery back in the middle of nowhere. And I mean, literally in the middle of nowhere in the town of Steuben. And then you see this clearing open up, and it's a cemetery. And apparently, people are in there that are involved with that in General Steuben. They even have security cameras on the trees watching the cemetery.
Whoa.
So I do have photographs, but I've got to enlarge them. I got to look and see if I can make out the names to figure out who they are. But I'm probably going to have to go back because, like I said, the video I took, I got about 10 minutes worth of video, and then I when I checked it on my camera, there was nothing there.
Whoa. That's weird.
So I got to go back and do it again.
Wow. That sucks when you do an investigations, or you go somewhere and you realize that, like, the audio is crappy, or you don't like,
Yeah.
or you don't
Same thing
have
with recording. I had a recorder, digital recorder
anything.
going, and the only thing you get
Mm.
on there is me swearing about the camera.
Happened to me a couple of times.
He's like, you know, damn camera. Didn't say damn, I said something else, but I was so mad because it wasn't very easy to get there. And then, then I come to find out, the damn thing didn't show anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've got to go back and see if I can record again, and hopefully I can pick up the names better, because that's the whole point of doing the video, is because I wanted to enhance the stones. A lot of them were in rough shape. That's why they have video cameras on the trees, security cameras, to keep vandals from going back in the woods and destroying them.
Yeah, and
But they have
they
some
should have done that.
significance. So
They
it
should
was
have
called
done that.
the cemetery is called the Pine Lawn Cemetery. I think I have to check the name again. But like I
Oh,
said, you have to look it up because it's in the middle of nowhere and the town is
oh,
Steuben. And of course, we're the
oh.
Mohawk Valley here, so it's all kinds of stuff. Let's see, serious spooks. Most of the fakers don't go and ask Beardo or other debunkers. You're right, they don't. Well, because they're going to be found out. And
Oh,
that's why they're trying to get rid of the debunkers. Uh,
like you just just for example, I'm sorry, I don't have any kind of respect for the guy. Homer Gosh, the guy goes and rant on Twitter that, oh, I'm not getting the views that I used to
yeah,
have.
I know.
Man, you did a video, we saw your feet, and you were doing a fake stuff, and we saw your feet where you were moving something.
Yeah,
You took down the video, you cropped it, and you released it again. It's like, man, it's like you're getting caught with your pants down in the kindergarten. I'm not a pedo. Come on.
Omar
It's like
Boo.
don't
Yeah, he's got no right to complain. I mean,
don't go around complaining that your views are down on your paranormal videos when everything you done is questionable. I'm sorry, but
yeah,
just
well, yeah, I'm ecstatic every time I get one new sub. I'm like, oh, yeah, my husband thinks I'm nuts. So no, you
the
don't know how hard this is.
the best one out there is the guy's called Tim Morozov. The guy at the beginning of his videos, he says that it's fake, that it's everything is
Entertainment,
made up,
right?
entertainment. But you look at his videos, they are
Excuse me.
so freaking well made and spooky that it's like y- y- you know, just that little something that he says at the beginning is enough to make me say that's good to listen to. It's really entertaining.
Right.
It scares me, but it's entertaining. And that's what they should do. They should took example like Tim Morozov does, and like this is a short horror movie,
Right.
plain and simple, and move whatever you want,
And
make
they
it
still would get the
dull,
views.
and you will. Tim Morozov got like tons of views, tons,
Right.
tons, tons of views, and his stuff is made up, but it's so well made up that is amazing.
Uh, yeah, Sir Spookfest agrees with you. He says he's the best. But at least he's honest, and you're enjoying the entertainment. Uh, we got to get Sir
Exactly.
Spookfest on here. Sounds like he's
Just
had some interesting stories.
a good example, Yasko. The guy is when okay, he embellishes everything he does, but
Yeah, I don't like him at all.
the way he does it, it's spooky. But you know it's fake
Yeah,
because you know everything that happens like it's impossible. So
they're like the lousiest actors. I just,
it's just the yelling, the screaming, and
but see, that's the
I
thing, is that's what the younger audience is looking at, is that excitement, that edge, and they're giving them that. When they look at the stuff that we do, they're like, "Ugh, this is boring."
yeah, they're
They don't
sitting
get
around.
anything. What's wrong with them? Uh,
I have a special face. I'm call myself a human puppet. I react at anything. I watch a hockey game. It's like I talk to the players. My girlfriend goes like, they can't hear you, right? And yeah, I know, but I still yell at them.
I do that. I don't know if you guys have a TV show over there called Hoarders.
Oh yeah, I've
I can't
seen.
watch that because I swear at the television.
Oh, it's. But
I know it's an illness, but I'm thinking, how can you live in that filth? And I'm like,
yes, it's really. But I'm French, and being French, we're reactors. We react a lot. So, and I know that sometimes people can say, why does he react on that? But sometimes I'm amazed at what's happening. That I will look at the device asking a question, and in my head it's like nothing's gonna happen, and oh, okay.
so yeah, you just surprised yourself.
Yes, and I sometimes I try to think rationally, but sometimes it's just like the investigation that takes over, and you get just drawn into it, and
Right.
so
So yeah, it says I love Jeff. I love Jeff. He's
Dom,
amazing and a freaking
thank
human.
you so much,
Oh, he
and
is.
thank you, and Dom is a great guy. I love working with Dom.
I'm having him on next.
Dom Dom has a ton of knowledge. He's a tour guide in Montreal. He does like haunted tours and stuff like that. He knows everything. He knows Montreal like from top to bottom, every place.
So
And he's a great guy. I just love having him with me like on investigations, and just a great
yeah, he's just yeah. I'm having him on soon as well. So
guy.
it's gonna
Thanks,
be
man.
you're gonna make him cry.
Oh, but
Oh,
you
nice. See,
know,
that's great.
you have to do good in your life, because you know when you people that do good get good, and
Right.
I've seen so much people suffer, like especially when I went to Bosnia. I've seen people kicked out of their houses. I've seen people their house completely destroyed, just living in the rubble.
Uh,
But just the resilience of those people made me realize that I'm lucky, and we
yes.
are lucky. We're living in a society that doesn't have war. We live in a society that can have a civilized conversation, and I just hope that we never on this continent will never see war again. Like you guys
Right.
down in the States, the Civil War was really hurtful for your country, and the country reunited afterwards, and that's what we need. We need people talking and arriving to a peaceful understanding. Like what's happening in Ukraine, it's kind of a not a counter. When the Iron Curtain fell, it's kind of the aftermath of everything
Right.
when the Iron Curtain fell, like Germany, Bosnia, the Balkans, and everything. Europe was since the 90s. Europe is in turmoil, and especially the center part of Europe.
Right.
So there's
Hi,
so
Michael.
much. There's so much. Hi, Michael. There's so much bad in our lives that I want to do good. If
Right.
I go and investigate somewhere and I have,
Hi, Faith.
hello, Faith, and I have somebody else that wants to come, but he says, oh, don't have any money. Bring your ass. Bring your ass. I'm paying, okay? Shut your mouth.
That's
Bring your ass.
wonderful.
That's me. I love because I love being meeting new people. I love meeting new friends, and if I can help somebody, I will do it. Like
So
just today, I sent by the mail. I Dom, don't I Dom did to me what I did to. Dawson, Dawson Toller. Dom gave me a recorder, a Zoom H1. He gave me two. One was all broken. He gave me one good one. But Dawson, he has that little crappy MP3 recorder, and I told him, Dom gave me that recorder, and I will pass it to the next one.
Oh, that was
So
nice of you.
I send it to Dawson. So Dawson, as soon as he gonna get enough money, that recorder is gonna go to another investigator that can't afford one.
Yes, the equipment
So
is killer on everybody.
so Dom, your recorder is starting something really special. That recorder will be the pass it to the next one
That's
recorder.
fantastic.
We will help people investigating with just that little recorder.
That's that recorder. That is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
does. It takes time to get the equipment. Like I said, I don't have any of the fancy stuff. I can't afford anything like that. So it's just the basic stuff. And maybe eventually, as time goes on, I'll be able to get the better
and,
equipment.
and they're really, really expensive,
Yes.
unfortunately. And I'm sorry to say that. And I will support my friend Spotted Ghost 1000%. The apps that he creates are, to my opinions, the best app out there. Ones, they never listen to you and they don't use any AI. They're not linked to anything.
Well, see, that's my next question was, what did you think about the apps and what do you use or do you use?
I use only Spirit Talk. That's the only app I use because I had so much great results. I had the names of the place I was investigating coming through that app. I had things that was said through the app that are that were in a relation on to the investigating I was conducting. And there are words that come out of that thing. Sometimes it's scary. And I've tried them all. I've tried Ghost and when I realized that Ghost was listening to me, that was using the microphone, I said, "What? No."
Oh, right.
And then when I put it on airplane mode, it went, "No, I have to be online. I'm not working." What? And I was looking at people using freaking necrophonic and stuff like that. But when I was always hearing that lady that, whoa, I was like, that's a recording. That's always the same thing playing around.
Right.
So I went and researched. And when I came to Spirit Talker and I got in contact with Spotted Ghost, started talking with Spotted Ghost, and I'm the only one that interviewed Spotted
Hi,
Ghost
Sydney.
on his channel. Hello, Sydney. I'm the only one that interviewed Spotted Ghost on his channel explaining how Spirit Talker works. He won't tell you the code or anything. He's an engineer. The guy won't give you the freaking secret of the caramel.
Right, right,
He is the inventor, but he's going to tell you how it works. It would tell you it will tell you that it doesn't use the GPS, but it will use your position on the earth versus the position of the astrological sign. Sorry, I'm French.
right.
The
You
astrological
got it out there.
sign in the universe. Because the guy is over being an engineer, he's an astrophysician. So, and he created that program to talk to his loved ones. So he didn't create it to make money. He doesn't care about the money because just check at his apps. They're fairly cheap versus other apps, and
Right,
you pay for them one time. That's it.
Right.
Some of them you have to have a monthly or a yearly subscription. You have to be online, and just the just the seer. People go, "Are you serious?" No, because the thing listens to you and will generate an image with the information that you are giving it. So if it pops a house because the computer in his brain decided to, well, I think there's a house in that story. I'm going to show a house. I'm going to,
Right.
the computer will give you, will implement an image into your brain. And then your brain will go to that direction.
Right.
So that little thing in there, that's really powerful. That's powerful. And when you put information in advance in it, it will dictate what you're doing. So you have people that love knowing the history of a place when they go in because they want to know to whom they're talking to.
Right.
But me on the opposite, if I don't know the history, I don't mind because I will conduct my investigation, and afterwards in my research, if I find out that my evidence goes with the history, then it's like, holy smoke. And I will release the video even if I don't have anything or barely anything because I want to show everything. I want to show the viewer that when you do a paranormal investigation, it's not like it's not 30 minutes, first of
Right.
all. If you see a 30, 45 minutes video, it's like you're in there for 4 hours and you just have 30 minutes of of evidence, but every all the shit is going around. Come on, get real.
Right.
So
Jeff says he goes, he did an experiment with the spirit talker, and he says he respects you, but it failed the experiment.
and it's a hit or miss. And sometimes I will even say it during my investigation. I won't hide the words that are coming out.
Right.
I'm gonna say that's probably random. I'm gonna say it myself. But if I can use it to kind of get my investigation in the direction I want, I will use it. But sometimes it's like, no, it's random. Recently, I did an investigation in a church right here in Quebec in the place called Frampton. And the guy with who I was with went there a couple of weeks prior, and he said that he was communicating with a little girl called Alice.
Hey, there's Steve.
Hey, Steve. And the name Alice came on Spirit Talker. And I have a spirit that follows me around. His name is Aldous. And my buddy Aldous came around in that graveyard. And it's the gentleman that came and opened the church told us that there are kids that goes all the time in that graveyard and they break in that church to play with Ouija boards. And my
Oh,
little friend travels through those portals. And I was investigating the graveyard, and the name Aldous came through, and I was like, "Holy shit, he's here again!"
now see, I'm glad that you put that on there, Spookfest, that you do use the Faraday cage. Not many people do use it or the bags. And Jeff, have you ever used or experienced
and
use of that?
I never kind of, but it's still it's a Faraday cage or Faraday bag. It's I don't know. It could I don't know it enough to say yes or no. I never experimented. Uh, I try to use the devices without a restriction, but I will never put a device. Example, I have the yes no prism. You have different settings on the yes no prism. You can
Right.
shoot the freaking dial all the way out. It's gonna shoot the beam like for ages on each side. I put it always on the lowest setting. It's like a foot to a foot and a half on each side. So when it triggers, it's not that somebody went passing by. I realized that a freaking IR light can trigger it. So I will put it in a place when I know that an IR light won't hit it.
Right.
And but then again, it's technology that we don't understand. There are things that we don't understand. So if putting all the devices in a Faraday cage could be the thing, I don't know. Could a Faraday cage um, restrict a spirit to go to the device? I don't know. We don't know. It
Right.
was never verified. Um, you know, people was like, well, spirits go through walls. When spirits go through walls, it's because they're following a pattern that once there was no wall there, there was a door. So
Right.
that's why they go through wall. And especially when the apparitions and the shadow figures, in my opinion, I think those are the residual. When you go, people go through walls and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
They're kind of always kind of following the same pattern. I went to an old fort we have here in Quebec City when I used to be in active service. That fort is still an active military base. If you come to Quebec City, you know the guards with the big bearskin hat,
Yeah. Yeah.
the red. We have the same kind of guards here in Quebec. They call the Royal the Vendus, the Royal 22nd Regiment, and that fort was built by the French and the
Thanks
early
for stopping
colonies.
in, Jeff.
Thanks for stopping in.
Sorry.
And
Go ahead.
when I was working at the Citadel, the guys told me, "Hey, go in the corridors down in the basement. You're gonna hear running." Yeah, come on. But I kid you not. I go down there and I sit there and I hear like freaking people running because in 1759, when the British appeared on the plains of Abraham, that's the hallway that the corridors they took to pop two secret passages on the plane. So that's probably the sound when the soldiers were running because they knew the British were attacking.
Right. See, that's what I love
So,
about you, Jeff. They ask you a question and you have the history to go with the statement. It's just, it's just amazing. Because not everybody does that.
but that's my my strong side. I love history, and I think like somebody in that period of time. Like yesterday or the day before was I think on Elena's program, and I was talking about the rampart, and people go, "Hey, can you touch the rampart?" What the frig is a rampart? The round thing
Yeah,
on
the
the
round thing with the
ground
antenna.
with the metal stick sticking out. I'm talking to somebody that lives in 17 or 1800. He doesn't know what a freaking like antenna or even a light is.
Exactly.
For him, it's probably like the weird looking lantern on the ground. You have to talk to him like
So they
you're
understand,
living
right?
in that period of time. Especially when you're talking to somebody that lived in the 19th or the 18th century, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And that brings me to when people have demon or devil on their devices, they're not saying they are. They're probably thinking you are because the way you're dressed, what you're using, you're they're living in a time when the lady that was doing concoction in her houses was called a witch.
Right.
So you with all the devices and your
It's very
gizmos
scary.
and
Oh, it's
gadgets
scary,
is, oh, he's a
right?
demon. So you have to put your head into you have to, when I was saying think in multiple layers, we, us humans, we have a we think in one layer. We
Yeah,
think in the moment we're living. We think that people in the past are living like us. It's normal. It's our brain. It's the way we are made. But when you investigate, and especially in old places, you have to think how they live, what they were doing. And
right,
other investigator told me that sometimes you will have activity in a place when the activity was heightened in the house or the place you're investigating.
right,
Example, a jail, lunchtime, chow time. Everybody was active. Everybody was around.
right,
And especially the shanking and the spiking and the killing, they were doing it when everybody was going around. It was like chaos. The
right.
guards couldn't control everybody. That's where the activity goes up. It's not at nighttime when everybody is sleeping. Yes, you will have activity, but I've noticed that places I had high peaks of activity in certain point of time when you think that in the house activity was going around. They had like parties or they had
Right.
stuff like that. So you have to really put yourself in the shoes of those people when you investigate. It's weird, but
That's a good way to think of it. I mean, because I don't think everybody thinks that way.
and
It's
I'm the first one sometimes. I'm the first freaking guilty one sometimes. Hey, can you touch the REM pot? No, the round thing when the red light in the middle stick or the green light. I
right.
sometimes people, and I'm pretty sure people say he's an idiot. Does he think that the ghosts are kids? No, they're
But
living
they
in
don't, like you
an.
said, they don't understand what that is.
That's it. They're living in another period. They're probably in their dimension. They in still in that era. You know.
Right. Hi,
So
Tony. Welcome.
hey, Antione.
Uh, so yeah, it's like I understand like what Michael's saying and what he's saying. His kid is just a couple of things, and that's what most of us have, just a couple of things. Because they do make things wicked expensive.
Mm.
And I mean, it's just outrageous. So, you work with what you can and what you got. And I mean, all of it is just a big experiment anyway. And if you're lucky enough to get something with the gadgets or the apps, that's fantastic. I did have an
Exactly.
experience with one of the apps when I first used one. Um, and you probably heard me talk about that one. I was on my way to do a residential, and I didn't know anything about the people that lived, excuse me, that were in the house or what happened in the house. I wanted to keep it pretty much, you know, neutral,
Low key.
just to see what I would come up with. And I downloaded the app on my way to the location, had everything shut off on the phone. When I turned on the app and I set it on the dining room table, waited a couple. I didn't say anything. I was just sitting there because I like to just sit and absorb the noise and sounds of the natural noises and sounds of the houses and stuff. And this name Charlie come popping up on the app. I'm like, oh, okay. And I shut it off. So then when I talked to the woman who lived there and I said, well, who's Charlie? She goes, well, that's my brother who just passed away. You're sitting in his chair.
Oh.
So that I found very interesting because why would it
Just
just
really.
randomly come up with that name of that guy in that house?
Yeah, yeah. It's really, and it's those wow moments. And I had too much wow moments with Spirit Talker that,
See, I haven't
and
tried that
I
one yet.
and I know that probably 40, probably to 30% of the time it's random words.
Right.
But when you have that word or that phrase that relates to where you are, it's like, oh, and i- i- sometimes you're investigating in a place and people go and say, people, ladies are not really welcome here because, well, I don't know, it's like a Masonic lodge, so no women is allowed. So sometimes a lady will investigate, you can have like, you're not allowed here or something like that. So that's really interesting because that relates to the fact that women are not allowed, like in a Masonic lodge or places like that, you know?
Right.
So that's those are the wow factor, but it's not it's gonna be random if like uh if it says I'm sitting next to you. Okay, you can be sitting next to me, but you
Right.
cannot. I don't know. I don't see you. So could you
Out
touch
of
me?
right. You don't know. Out of all of the places that you've been, have you ever been to any place that just literally just scared the shit out of you and you wouldn't go back there?
Hmm. Takes a lot to scare the shit out of me. I survived a grenade explosion when I was in
Right.
Bosnia,
Yeah.
so takes a lot. And I always say when it's not shooting at me, I'm good. I don't really. There's that house in Nova Scotia. I went there with my friend Lomar, and I twisted his arm because he didn't want to go back. So I told him, okay, well, I'll go alone. And he told me, no, 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 you're not going there alone, idiot.
Wow.
I'm going with you. So
Okay,
he
that's
came
pretty
with me,
bad, though.
and immediately getting into the house, you feel the heaviness in the house. And it's completely destroyed. It's been ransacked and like the house barely hangs, but you feel the heaviness in the place. Uh, as more as you investigate, you feel like you're not welcome, and something or somebody wants you out, and you hear talking all around, and you don't see anybody coming through the woods. That kind of start, that kind of shook me because it was my first experience in an abandoned house, first of all. So,
They're
and
spooky anyway, so yeah.
and yeah, and it was really the first time in like in a house hidden in the middle of the branches. You don't even know there's a house there. If you fly with a drone, you see a piece of a roof and that's it. There's so much brushes all around. You barely see the house when you come to it. But when you go in the house, it's a massive house, but you feel the heaviness in the place. And I don't know if I'm gonna go back. If one day Lomar says, I'm going back and I want you to come back with me, I'll go with him. But if I would have been gone there alone, I've probably have come back with probably like shook or affected. Probably I would have packed up my stuff and say, well, I don't feel good and I'm going because
Right.
that's the way I'm I react to bad the energies. And immediately when I came into the house, I started sweating.
Could
And I
feel
look
it.
at Lomar and I said, "Oh, that's not good. I'm sweating." And there's no windows. It wasn't warm. It's like the
Right.
wind
Just
was
very
blowing.
oppressive. Yeah.
Yeah, so that place is really really special. I don't really know, and I don't know if the place gonna be still standing up. So
That's the problem. Yeah, that doesn't last long.
yeah,
A
it,
lot
it,
of them
it
go quick or they knock them down or somebody sets them on fire. You never know. Do
probably
you have
some
actually a
kids.
favorite place that you would go back no matter how many times?
Actually, I've got two. I've got two.
It's all right.
Uh, I really love the Hinsdale House. And it it's a place that fascinates me. It's the area where it is, the things there is in the place. But the other place I just went there once, but I can't wait to go again. Is the Monroe House. Uh, Matt and like really told me like be careful. Probably gonna go there and nothing's gonna happen. But the more and more you will go, the more and more activity you will get. And with with what I had, I can't wait for the next time I
Well,
go
see, so
there
yeah, it was
because.
you had a great experience.
But I loved it. The only place I felt really off was the second floor. The rest of the house, I went in the crawl space 15 minutes in the pure darkness and I had a blast. It was fun. Just crawling out of it is a pain in the butt, but it was kind of a cool experience. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
those two places. And over here in Canada, there's a place I love to go out east in Nova Scotia. It's called York's Redoubt. It's a big fort with bunkers dating from the Second to the First World War. Even the fort was built in 1796, so it's an old fort. There were troops there until the 1960s. So all the energy from all the soldiers that were there in a certain period, the soldiers were living there with their families. So you have like all that energy that comes through. And I had stuff coming to us there that I still can't explain. I heard a clear footstep in a chamber, and when you go in that chamber, there's no exit. So if
Oh,
somebody was there, you had to come out by the way we're
right.
going in. So, and there was nobody. And in my video, you clearly hear the footstep. It's
Wow.
like a somebody with a boot, like
Right.
stomping on the ground. It's like, whoa. And just the place itself, it's massive, it's huge. And people have been going there for ages to do like seances, and
Right.
you have like pentagrams and all that stuff littered. And the last time I went there, we started finding coins with the Ten Commandments written on them, laying all over the place.
Oh,
So,
wow.
oh yeah, it's every time we go there, we find something new.
Something.
It's like we're going there to
Welcome back,
investigate.
Tom.
And I go in the chamber. There's a plank with freaking candles on it. Like people were having a séance probably like a day prior to when we arrived. It's like what the hell?
Right.
But the sad thing, it's when you find stuff like that because of the fakers. Well, people will go and say, "Well, you planted that."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
the
the
sad
problem
thing
there. Yeah. I know. It's
because
just, it's-
Mosarchi and Angelo went there and they found the coins. And when Lomar released his videos, everybody, oh, Mo, fuck me. Yeah, I know. They went afterwards, after
right.
us.
Right.
Really, the video came before, but they went after us.
Actually, I think I might have seen that one. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I think I might have seen that one.
and my buddy Lomar, he's such a great guy, and he's such a an awesome investigator. Uh, him and Chelsea, they're young, but they're looking for answers as well. And unfortunately, with the people that we film with, sometimes we are categorized because, well, he films with Angelo, so he's a fake.
Right.
No, he's my friend. It's not the same. Same from Lomar. He's his friend. It's not because they film with him.
Right.
And
Well, see, that's
I
going
ha-
on right now where it's Beardo had the
yeah,
interview there with Jason Hawes. Now, okay, not everybody might not like the guy. We don't like what was going on with the drama with his daughter and her mate, and but that's a separate thing. And Jason had nothing to do with what his daughter was doing, and Jason's doing his thing. So why are you condemning Beardo for having an interview to find out answers? To hear it from the own guy's mouth
I
before
will
you start to
tell
judge.
I will tell a paranormal investigator. I will tell him that if a guy takes down like sorry, Jason Hawes, like starting bad mouthing, I will say, okay, take the Cody and Satori story out of it. Who was your favorite paranormal investigator? Who were you looking after when you started being interested in the paranormal?
Exactly.
It's probably Jason Hawes and his friend Grant when they were doing their show because there was the only
Right. They
they
were it.
started everything. And I it's his daughter, yes. And I would have done the same with my daughter.
Exactly.
But it doesn't take the fact that the guy is one of the best paranormal investigators in the field. The guy will go into place and tell you that's bullshit. It's
Right.
not haunted. It's because of that. It's that. But he will tell you that place is haunted. That place. And he will tell you the place that he loves. He loves Wilson Castle. I love Wilson. I went once to Wilson Castle and I can't wait to go back again. Another place that I love. But again, Jason, it's one of his favorite places. Why? Because there's activity.
Right. Hi, Cassie.
Hey, Cassie. Hello, Cassie. Another fellow Canadian. And Cassie, she's so awesome as well.
She's
She catches
adorable.
she catches some great EVP sometimes.
Yes, she
And
does.
and seeing Ron like a purebred skeptic, like slowly, and whoa.
Yeah, yeah. That when they're on the fence and then they slowly start sliding
Yep.
down the other side.
Yeah.
Now she does a
They're
great
great.
job.
Yes, and I can't wait to go in the Niagara region and where she lived. That's another kind of hotspot here in Canada because it was kind of the center part of the War of 1812. So she's all around that
Right.
area.
Do you have any
Uh,
plans of investigating with her?
We're supposed to do Wilson Castle when I booked Wilson Castle, but unfortunately, she didn't have a babysitter back then, so they couldn't
Oh,
come to Wilson Castle. So unfortunately, they couldn't come. But I'm still looking forward investigating with Cassie,
so there it's
Ron,
out there,
and
Cassie.
well, I
We're
want to
putting you on the
probably
spot.
well, I'll go and book on Niagara on the Lake. Help! Uh, oh, I got a brain fart. I got a brain fart. Cassie, help me! In Niagara on the Lake, what it's called, the Angel Inn. Thank you, the
Yeah.
old Angel
And
Inn.
Dom saved the day.
I want to book the old Angel Inn and invite Cassie, Ron, and her friend to come and investigate because I think Cassie loves a lot the old Angel Inn. She went and investigated there a couple of times, and the history of the place it's really incredible. A poor British soldier was bayoneted to death in a
Oh,
barrel in the basement of that place by American soldiers
oh.
when they invaded Niagara on the Lake. Unfortunately.
She said yes. I couldn't remember either.
It's been there 2 times.
She's been there 2 times. That's what happens when you hit 40. It starts going downhill from there.
Uh, Wait till you get 50.
I got you beat.
Well, it's
I'm
I
ready for the
always say
home, apparently.
it's just a number.
Yeah.
As long as you feel young inside and you feel good and you can do what you want to do. Do it.
Right. Well,
Live
unfortunately,
your
the
life.
brain and the heart are still young and thinking 20s. The body and disability is saying, "Forget it, old lady. Sit in the
Yeah, I know.
rocker."
Yeah. And
But I
and
don't
and
listen, and then I pay for it later.
and I got a I don't mind saying it. I have like the sword hanging over my head. I'm HIV positive. So and or in 2017, my medication stopped working effectively. So I became I I developed the AIDS virus. So I was like, if I catch a cold, I'm gonna die. So
Oh,
I changed my doctor changed my medication. So now I'm still doing good. Everything is good, but you never know. Freaking tomorrow, the medication company decides to. Well, now the medication doesn't cost like $500 a month. Now it's like the other moron did. Like now it's $10,000 a month. You know, and
and then right there, that's a death sentence to somebody.
yeah. So that's why I'm kind of looking for answers that I know I have something in me that um, one these days can just decide to get my life a living hell. And I want to live my life like there's no tomorrow.
Well, yeah, there's always something to look forward to. And you always got to remember that life is a gift, and you only get one run around, so you got to
Yep,
take advantage of every moment.
exactly.
Uh, Credibility in the paranormal field is such a fragile thing. Yes, it is. Um, and it is guilty by association. That's why it's so difficult when I try to make decisions on who I'm going to have on. I had to look through all that stuff and think, okay, this person is associated with that. This because I try not to judge, and I always give people more than one chance. So if I do end up having somebody on here and they might be associated with somebody else, just because they're associated with that person doesn't mean that they're doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So I mean, we can't judge somebody completely by who they're associated with. It is just not fair. Um,
And it's not because somebody's doing something with somebody else that he's doing it with you.
right,
Like for my friend Angelo, he's the most honest guy I never saw. Is when I got kind of I say attacked, but when I felt my heart kind of pressured when in Ohio, he's the first guy that came to me asking if I was okay, if I needed a prayer or something, and he was the first one. So it won't be, the guy that doesn't care. Oh, great acting. I'm not fucking acting. I have pain, man. It's hurt.
right,
That hurts. But not him. Not him. He's the kind of guy that will come to you and ask, "Are you okay? Are we stopping? I think we're gonna stop. It's getting
right.
dangerous."
And
You
he was
know
concerned about your well-being.
exactly.
Yeah,
And it's not a faker that will like go and try to find out if you're doing okay. He's gonna, oh no, that's good. That's good for clicks. No, he was
right,
really concerned. So
right. Yeah, oh yeah, they would have been horrible. They were just
that
going to film that for clicks. Oh,
no,
just having a heart attack, but we're going to film it.
yeah, but I kept it because just the way it happened,
Right,
like just my heart kind of like s- I don't know if it stopped, but it hurt. And the spirit talker at this like one fraction of a second after it said done. Like somebody was like, "That's enough,"
right.
because I was starting to do a pendulum session when it happened. So And when Spirit Talker said done, it's like, oh my freaking lord. Okay.
Well, and then
And
you're done.
and during the Estes session, I was talking about fire, burn it, and stuff like that, not knowing that all around us in the room where we're doing the session, they are stained glass. And that stained glass came from a church that burned down in Poland in 1944
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
with people in it.
And it's terrible. Terrible. Yeah,
So,
I agree with Spookfest. There is yes, it's very expensive. People spend a lot of money to investigate the famous places, and we all appreciate that. And you guys all have a wonderful time. But I would like to see, and I've heard this from a lot of people lately. There's a lot of changes going on in the field, and a lot of people's opinions are changing. I think that investigators need to start going to places that aren't as commonly known, bringing in a new batch of excitement and new buildings, new experiences. Because
yeah.
how many times everybody going to the Conjuring house because it's so famous, or going to Hill House, or going to this house? All right, you've all done that, and it's wonderful. And I know that everybody wants to have their experience in that space, but I think the audience also wants to find and see everybody go to places that nobody's ever heard of,
hmm
and
And,
and
and
experience it with you firsthand.
and that's another thing, like the overpricing. It's like you don't have to ask astronomical sums of money to for a place like the Conjuring House, asking $1,200 or $1,500 per creator to investigate the place. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's totally
yeah,
insane. That's indecent,
yep,
even. Go to the Monroe House. It's as haunted as the Conjuring House, and you'll pay $175 with the snacks and the drinks. Everything is free,
right,
and you will be frightened. You will have a good time. There is no Wi-Fi to pollute your investigation.
right,
Eddie reworked all the wiring in the house so it won't pollute your investigation, and it is a place made up for investigations. And you don't have to ask for like 300 to $400, that kind of limit, because usually they will ask that amount for a group. Example, the Hinsdale House, it's $320 for a group of six. But in between like four, five, six people, $320, it's not a lot.
right,
It's fairly affordable. But going to the Conjuring apps, example, I want to put something on my channel. You want to put something on your channel. So we're both creators. So it's gonna cost me $1,200 and it's gonna cost you $1,200.
yep.
That's insane. That's
And there are so many
unfortunately.
restrictions.
Yes, you have to send your video for approval,
Yep,
and you cannot put everything you want in the title. And it's like, okay, but I'm not the demon kind of bullshitter. I will
yep,
tell in my title, yes, a little bit clickbaity, but what happened? I got attacked. Yes, I got attacked because of fucking, I don't know, I fell down the stairs and I attributed it. I think it's a ghost that pushed me because I felt two hands on my back. I don't
right.
know. And people sometimes will come. Yes, we can. Like, is it true? But we're not there, so we cannot really tell if it is actually true or not. That's a really um, pointy question to go and say, "Well, he's full of shit." Do you know? Are
Right.
you absolutely sure? You're 100%, but you were not there. So, you know, telling something it's bullshit when you're telling it's bullshit, but the fact that you're telling it's bullshit because you were not there, that's bullshit. I'm sorry. In my opinion, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Well, Don will take everybody ghost hunting for 100 or for $25.
$25, and it will bring you to the places that you will never even realize that something like, I don't know, there was a place where a massive hanging happened. But when you go there, it's like a number kind of squarish place with concrete. It's not the kind of place that it's not written 25% were hanged there.
Right, right.
You have to know it like looking through the history, but Don knows every places, so it will bring you like over here there
Bye,
was a
Cassie.
mass.
Thanks for stopping in, honey.
Good night, Cassie. Have a great day tomorrow at work. And yeah, so it will bring you to the places. Exactly. So
Oh, good Lord.
44.
44.
Yeah. And there's a place in Montreal that people don't even know. It's the head office for where we buy alcohol, the beer store here in Quebec. It's controlled by the government. Well, their head office was a jail where the patriots that rebelled against British rulers
Right.
in 1834, I think I'm early 1800s. Well, they were hanged in the courtyard of that jail. But today, the only thing that remains is like a piece of the wall and the name of the jail, Au Pied du
Oh,
Courant.
how do you
So,
say it?
Au Pied du Courant. It's at the bottom of the rapids because
Okay.
it was when you arrive near Montreal, because it's an island, the channel narrows a bit, so the currents are really strong. So that's why the French, it was the French settlers at first that built that jail, but when the
Right.
British took over, they took over the jail and they kept the name.
Oh, okay. See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. People want to see and hear about these places that we don't even know that are out there.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys have
1837,
the
thank you, yeah.
history. You've got all of this stuff going on. It would be nice to see these types of things, just to change it up some. Because, like I said, the changes are coming in the field, and as far as people believing, I think we're getting more skeptics than believers
And,
because of what's going on.
and unfortunately, I think I'm speaking for us because we don't have lots of our American friends that come up to Canada, and we have places here in Canada that could blow your mind. I've been to places here in Canada that are absolutely unknown to people that will make you shit your pants. Uh, there's a graveyard here in Quebec, and it's written record. It's on record. If you go look at the history, it's written record. The graveyard is built over a native burial ground. There were some people that came down from the United States and decided to settle there.
Right.
But when they decided to take the plot of land, they told the Abenaki, the native that were there, hey, you got to move. We're building our stuff here. And the government, well, they say, okay, we're going to park them into a reservation, and there's your land.
Right.
But they place the graveyard over the burial ground of the natives. So, and that graveyard was vandalized a couple of years ago, probably
Oh.
10, 15 years ago. Some kids went in there, destroyed some gravestones, and they entered. There's a massive vault, and they entered the vault and destroyed the coffin of the
Oh, it's
gentleman that was.
awful.
So it's the Maplewood Cemetery, and I went there alone to do a live stream the other night, and I was kind of happy to go away. There was people around, but it's a really it's native land, and
Right.
native land with other burials over that had their tombs ransacked and destroyed, and one of them was bothered in his eternal rest. So it's lots and lots of energy that just want to talk. And every time you go there, you're in the middle of the woods and you have Dom's paranormal puck was turned off. You have to flick a switch.
Oh, interesting.
We
Hello,
realized that
kitty.
that's Billy. We realized that the paranormal puck is not working anymore. Go, Dom, go and pick it up and say, "Bro, click."
Something switched it off.
It's so incredible. And yes, we had through Spirit Talker. I'm a shapeshifter, and at the same moment, we hear like rustling in the brushes all around us, and could be an animal, but for an animal to rustle the brushes on that side, and half a second after on that side, and when you hear running, it's fast. Like no, it's not a deer. It's not. And if it would be a coyote, it would be growling or yapping, calling his friends.
Right.
And you know, it's that kind of place that when you're in that fence area, you feel safe until you get in your car and you get out.
Right.
But it's a great place. So we have places like that here.
Hi, Spirit
We
Brothers. Welcome.
Spirit Brothers, hello. So we have lots of places that I want to make you guys discover, and we want to welcome you here. We want to show you like
What is there?
yes. You have to know that like people say, oh well, Canadians are nice, so nothing happened in Canada. Well, you would be surprised that there were probably more fighting in Canada before 1850. Before your Civil War, there were probably more battles in Canada that there were down south because we had the 7 Years' War, the war between the French and the British, the French Indian Wars, uh,
Everybody came through Canada.
the Americans that tried to invade in 1775. People forget about that in the American Revolutions. The Continental Army, they came in and invade us. They took control of Montreal for a couple of for a while, and they tried to invade Quebec City, 1812 again. So we have like a common border, but we have so much history
Right.
both side of the border that and on this side it's it's as haunted as you guys. So I'm kind of praying the day that some American YouTubers will start to say, "Hey, I want to go to Canada," and
Right.
more and more saying, "Oh, that place looks interesting. I want." We have islands, haunted islands where pirates were hung in Nova Scotia.
That, yeah, that's amazing. That I would like to
We, I
I'd
went
like to
on
know
an
about
island,
that.
McNabb's Island. The island was a cholera outbreak kind of quarantine station.
Right.
There are over 2,000 people buried on that island. There's a
Wow.
fort. There are settlers that are buried on that island. There are islands all around Nova Scotia that have ties to pirates and death.
It'd be
It's
amazing.
incredible. It's amazing. It's we have so much history, and I'm just kind of not praying, but I'm wishing the day that our American friends will come and say, "Oh my God, Canada's haunted."
Oh, I don't know where I've never heard of any Canadians being mean. I've always heard a very good thing about the Canadians and places, and because I have a few people
Yes,
that have gone there that I know, and they said it was lovely. It really was.
yeah, we have jails that have history, especially in Ontario. We have and here in Canada, back in the day, the jails were used to hang people. They were not hanging people in prisons because prisons like were big penitentiaries. They
Right,
were doing the hanging in the jails. So all those small little jails that we have all around Canada now they're mostly abandoned or museums or stuff like that. So when you go and investigate them, you have lots and lots of dark histories, murderers, freaking people that were hanged for stealing bread and stuff like that.
right.
There are
Uh,
tons and tons and tons of stories like that in our old buildings that are just waiting for other investigators to come here and discover.
right. Spirit says that they've got some
Oh,
fantastic locations. Oh, I want to
in
go
the
to the
UK,
UK.
in the UK, even the lampposts are haunted.
Exactly. The buildings I want to get into over there, I'll never make it there, but
I think that
just gorgeous.
I had the choice between UK and California. Finally, I went to California. I needed some sunshine, but I'm eager to go to the UK and
Actually, I have an opportunity to go to the United Kingdom, but I got to get myself on a plane. I'm scared to death to fly.
Oh,
So if
that's
I can get over
the
that
sad part.
and it's lovely person, she's willing to pay for the whole trip just so that I'll go with her. And I haven't given her an answer yet.
And people don't even know that, like in the UK, sometimes I release videos and people say, "What? We were there? Yes, you invaded the French when the French were here, so that's why." And I even once told
Ian.
a British person that, Wolf, that is buried in Westminster Abbey.
Uh-huh.
Well, he died right here in Quebec, and I can show you the spot where he died because it's public. You can go and investigate where Wolf passed away, where the battle happened on the Plains of Abraham. When I was at military service, when I was active, I was going around near the
Right.
Citadel, and I had people coming up to me say, "Hey, I've seen the reenactors over there with uniforms." I said, "What reenactors? We don't have reenactors."
Oh wow. Yeah,
So
that's something.
yeah, and yes, the UK is so it's it, everything kind of started from the whole countries like UK, France, Belgium, the
Right.
Netherlands. So every every explorers departed from Europe. So North America is fairly a young um, continent. I mean, like
Right.
there were people like 13,000 years ago here, the native, but we've been uh, like we are since only 1534 when Jacques Cartier discovered Gaspésie.
So it's yeah, it's well, I'm looking forward to you doing what you do and giving us some new things to look at and hopefully other people will follow suit. Because like I said, I think that it's getting to the point where a lot of people are just saying, "Well, it's the same shit all the time," and you guys aren't finding anything, and I'm just gonna go watch something else, or like you said, they're gonna say, "Well, you don't know what you're doing. These other guys know what they're doing," and I hate to see it go in that direction because that's why I always try to stress on this program that it's all about education. Come on here, learn what the real guys are doing. You know, paranormal doesn't, act on, hey, you need to do this now. You're a performing monkey. It doesn't work that way.
And I
Um,
always say it, they're not circus animals. They
yeah,
if they don't want to talk, they won't talk to you. And if
it
they
happens when it happens, and we'll be lucky enough to catch it.
exactly
And
if
some people could do this for a lifetime and not get anything.
and that's
Uh,
why I want to be polite and nice to the spirits, because if you have a nice approach, like you won't talk with the guy that yells at you. You're
right.
gonna talk with the guy. Oh, that guy
Which,
seems nice. I
right,
want to
treating you with
tell him.
respect, speaking to them as a living person.
Yeah,
Because I've done it when I go in a place or something, thank you for letting me into your home. I'm not here to cause any kind of harm or disrespect. Just pretty much telling them I'd like to have a conversation with you. Is this something you would be willing to do? Um, you have to treat it like they're a living being. I think you get
exactly.
better results that way.
And you have to respect them because they were there
Yeah,
before us, and
that's right. And that's you're in their space,
they preceded us. And yes, they're in, and sometimes you're in their home. And yeah, thank you for welcoming me into your home. Welcome,
right?
uh, you know. So oh, it's not that you have a reputation. It's just like so, some Europeans did really bad things in back in the day. It's not just the British. Like the Spanish did bad things
Everybody's got a history,
down south, and even the French, when they set foot here, they weren't even nice to the. They brought native with them to the King of France as presents.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah. Everybody's got a dark history somewhere, and that's great, Don. That you asked permission to enter. You're actually the
Yes.
first person I've ever heard say that.
It's supposed to be like that. You don't come into a house like just barge in. Thank you for letting me to your home, and
Right?
you know,
Yeah. See, you're right. It is
yeah,
not guaranteed that you catch anything. Uh,
exactly.
you could go to some place 10, 12 times, and then like the 13th time, okay, you're gonna catch something. It's just the way it works. Because I've been to some places multiple times, and like here we have it's called the Risky Battlefield. One of the bloodiest battles in our history. Um, and has huge monuments dedicated to all the soldiers and the people that passed on that patch of grass. And I've been there several times and nothing. But there have been reports that people see people or apparitions walking through the fields.
Hmm.
So maybe someday I'll be able to catch that. Uh, I just have to keep going.
And I've noticed something. When you go to abandoned graveyards or graveyards that are not often visited, they want to talk. They have, sometimes you have one or two spirits in there, they have a story to tell. And they just, they're just waiting for somebody to come and say, I want to talk to you. You know, it's those kind of places that, in my opinion, are like raw kind of the raw diamond
Right,
that you just have to go a little bit more often, that the spirit gets used to you, and then you create kind of a relation with that spirit. And 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 especially when you respect them, you it's okay, you don't want to talk, that's fine, that's fine.
right,
If you want, the devices are there, just take your time. And if you don't want to talk, if there's a spirit other than spirits of this house that want to talk, please come forward.
right.
It's not, hey, touch the fucking REM pod, I
Yeah,
told you so.
do
Like
this now, or.
provoking, yeah, no,
And you
when
see it. The provoking is really annoying.
oh, it's disrespectful, in my opinion.
It
It's really
is.
just it's
It
just
really
you're
is.
disrespectful.
No
Or
matter where
coming
I
in,
go, I'll go and I like to sit and just sit there for a while. Like I said, to hear all the sounds, the natural sounds of the house or the place that I'm in.
or
And
idiots that come into in front of a house where there was a murder and yell murder. Creole kids. It's like do have a bit of decency and respect
Right.
for the places that you investigate. That's all. It's
Oh, let's
it's
see. Spirit
respect.
Brothers. He says he's been lucky enough to capture a full apparition on a camera once and a shadow
Wow.
twice. Wow. Yeah, that is very rare.
Yeah, that's rare.
Very rare indeed.
Dom and me witnessed something in a graveyard in Montreal, the largest graveyard there is well, in Canada, probably. Well, it's in Quebec. It's the Mount Royal Cemetery. There's over 2 million people buried there. And we're investigating the grave of a little girl, and all of a sudden, we all turn around. We're about 8 people. We all turn around, and there's a lady right there, just like walking. She just came out of nowhere. And as she goes further, and the more I'm looking at her, I say, she's not walking, she's floating. You know, when somebody walks, the head
Right.
goes like that. Her head was going like
She was
that.
just gliding across.
When I tell that, Dom goes and dart and starts running, comes to the road where she's walking, and she's like twice the distance that a normal person would have done, the speed that she was walking.
Right.
And when he shines his flashlight, she disappears.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
And nobody could make out her face. It was a lady, but nobody could make out her face. I don't know why.
That's
And
actually it happens a lot because I have a friend of ours that grew up in the family home, and when they were older, they were upstairs taking photographs. It was a special occasion for something, and the two-bedroom doors were behind them, and they're staying in the hallway taking a photograph. And then when it was developed, in one of the bedrooms, you see a full figure of a woman in like 1800s dress,
oh,
but you only saw up to the collar, high collared collar, and no face.
wow,
And,
that's
yeah,
so cool.
because they're looking at it like, what the hell is that? And they're like, oh my God, it's a lady that was standing behind us.
Whoa. I had like a glitch. I was like kind of scratching my forehead. My face did something. That's why I was like, hmm? Probably just my eyes that's playing a tricks. It's like the other night we're doing a live stream with Matt, and all of a sudden there's a flash in Matt's bedroom. Matt goes like, "What the hell was that?" And there's just one light source on the ceiling. There's some weird stuff happening sometimes during live streams, and especially paranormal investigators.
Right.
I'm pretty sure we have so much places we investigate that are spirits that follow us and just try to come through to.
Ian's got a question. He said, why are knocks considered paranormal? Seems like a reach for me.
Well, it depends because sometimes you, you can make the difference because sometimes people will interpret a knock by the cracking of a building. People, well, it's an old building, it's settled. Yes, but the difference of temperatures between daylight and nighttime, those difference of temperatures will make the wood like expand and
Right.
contract. So it's gonna make the wood crack.
Yeah, make
So
everything.
you
And that's
can
why everybody
have
gives me grief, I think, because I always ask this question. Do you check temperature changes throughout your investigation?
well,
Because I think that makes a difference.
I mostly I always have an EDI. and DDI have the temperature,
Yeah.
and on DDI you have the two lights. You have the blue and the red lights when you have massive changes in temperatures. And it happened a couple of times that when the blue light was flashing and the temperature gauge was like stable, but the blue light was flashing like with a big massive difference of temperature. Um, I investigated places that I had gusts of cold wind coming to me, like no doors, no windows open, no ventilation, nothing. It's like, can you explain it? It's bizarre. So Knox, it's kind of the same thing. You have to kind of be attentive, but I'm gonna put it like that. Don't take a chance. If you hear something knock, thank you.
Right.
If even if it's not paranormal, we don't know. But when you ask, can you knock? And then you hear that knock or that pop. Coincidence? Could be,
Right.
but bizarre coincidence that at that exact time that
Oh,
during all your
jeez.
investigations you don't hear anything, and at that particular time you hear that pop.
Right.
So exactly, yes, yeah, it's physics. It's
The Knox, the communications. Yeah. Sometimes. Well, yeah. It's depends on how the situation. Like, you also have here. My house makes all sorts of noises as it heats up and cools
it's something
down.
cool down. It's
Right.
physics,
And
yes.
yeah, it's that's why I always think it's very important
It's
for everybody to always even through the whole evening check out, your temperature changes from room to room because you never know. And like you
and
said, you're
asking for
standing
validation.
there and that burst of cold air comes through. Well,
Yeah.
quick, take a reading, find out what direction it's coming from, you know, so this way you could possibly figure out what the hell it is, where it came from.
Mm.
And you have like one side of you is regular temperature, and then you're freezing on the other side. Well, why is that section cold?
Cold, and the other one is warm. It's like
Right,
it's weird. And yes, Dom, you will ask for confirmation. Can you confirm? Can you knock again?
right,
And you will sometimes hear that knock. Sometimes it could be sorry, it could be random. Just the footstep that Lomar and me heard in the chamber at York's readout. We're setting up our stuff. We're preparing our gear. I just pressed record on my camera just in case, and all of a sudden you hear that stomp. It's incredible.
yeah.
I was surprised. So
So yeah, that's what it is especially, yeah, if it's in response to you asking, and then you receive, then you're dealing with intelligence. um but that's one of the reasons, like I said, when I go to a place, I like to sit and wait for a little while, just in silence, so that you can tell the difference while you're performing your investigation. Is it the sounds that I heard beforehand, the house creaking and windows banging, and so you get determined during the investigation what is just the house, or even if you're outside, what is just natural noises on the outside. Now this is something else.
especially when you don't ask for it. If you hear, oh, heard that knock? Did you ask for it? No, that's the normal. That's completely
Right,
normal.
right,
Spirits won't do like okay, you can have the prankster then I don't know, but usually if they want to show you they're there, they will show you when you ask. Oh, if they want to scare you, they just they're not just gonna knock. They're gonna do something else. They're gonna
which is pretty
make
much
something fly off
fall
the
or touch you, right,
or touch you. They're gonna really spook you. They're gonna use anything. They're not just gonna do a little knock on the
right.
wall. So
And all the times that you've been doing this, have you ever felt any kind of physical touch?
yes, uh, uh, and I asked for it, and the 3 times I asked for it, one time I felt somebody something pinching my finger in a Fairfield infirmary. I was in the fridge where they used to put the bodies, and I went in with my friend Lomar, and when we were getting out, Lomar felt like he was pushed. So I went immediately back into the fridge. I hand out my hand. Can you touch my hand? Pinch my finger, please. And I felt like something pinch my.
Oh, that's incredible.
I was like, whoa,
Now,
okay.
did it
And it
feel cold?
freezing, freezing. Another time my REM pod was going off, I stretched my hand over the REM pod. I asked, can you touch my hand? My hand became freezing and numb.
Wow. Well, yeah.
And the other time, was it a gust of wind or was it really the spirit? I was in a crawl space at the Monroe house. I stretched out my hand. I said, can you touch my hand? And I felt like a cold breeze on my hand, but I was in a crawl space.
Right.
I don't know how the air flows in the basement. I'm pretty sure Eddie has sealed everything up because I know the place where they found the bones, everything is sealed up. So
Right.
you don't have like a little passageway all boarded up with carpet, and that's it. So there's no windows, there's anything that
Right.
could
No
have
draft.
no draft. So that was kind of bizarre. And it was always cold, always, always cold.
I
But the
apologize for
only
the banging, guys. They're
no,
doing
it's all right.
fireworks out on our street.
And but
I
the
don't know if
only
you can hear
place
them or not.
kind of really start like got me surprised was the finger pinch in
Right.
Fairfield. That was
Well, yeah,
and
because that you can imagine the energy it takes to actually put a squeeze, you know, on your body anywhere. So
we did an Estes method in Fairfield. I am still to this day puzzled by what happened. We did the alphabet with my friend Chelsea. A, B, C, D, even counting.
right,
She has noise canceling headphones with music with blasting in her ears. We do the alphabet and she answers every freaking letter.
wow,
I'm still to this day puzzled by everything that happened. And she was laying in in the sink when they used to wash the bodies and the vegetables. I don't know if you ever went to Fairfield Infirmary and where the morgue is in the basement, where you have those two massive sinks where you
wow,
used to wash the bodies. Well,
right.
the kitchen was right next door, so they're washing the vegetables where the bodies used to be washed.
Well, that's awful. Jeez.
Yep, it was really nasty.
Really
So
bad. Oh
we had the
boy.
perfect. Sorry, I'm reading with Spirit Brothers. The perfect response once he
It's right
was
here.
at the tunnels and we asked the spirits to knock. Copied us perfectly. Oh my God! Stop knocking and touch the sensors, and they touch the sensors.
So I mean, it's amazing that you
Wow.
guys, you I get to go to these places and you're getting some really good results. And that's what it is. And people just need to see that. And
And you have to be patient. It's like
yeah,
fishing. It's not, you're not gonna catch the big fish the first time you cast your line. You're gonna catch
right.
those little tiny fishes that you have to throw back once in a while. So
And most
it's
time the hook's gonna come back empty.
exactly. So you have to be really patient
Yeah.
and and just be nice. That could be my only advice is be nice. If you're nice, it's like in life. If
Yeah.
you're nice to somebody, well,
You're gonna
that's
yeah, you're
gonna
gonna get better results if you just use kindness.
Like me, I have two young kids. My daughter is 5, my son is 8. And when I go to places that I know there are children, I tell them I have kids at home. You want to know their name? And sometimes, oh, yeah, what's his name? Is he my age? The kind
Right.
of mentality of a little child.
See,
Like
Dom is right. It's not like going to McDonald's and ordering a hamburger. It's well, that's what
you
everybody thinks.
kind
Is everything is done on command, and it just doesn't work that way.
exactly. Like when you order somebody, probably that person's gonna look at you and say, "What the
Well, I
heck do
know if
you think
yeah,
you are?"
I'm a
Yeah.
ghost. That's what I'd be saying. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, exactly. So when somebody comes and say, Can you touch the device, please? I
Right.
really want to understand. I want to hear your story. I really want to know you. Can you touch
Right.
my device, please? Just to tell me that you're here with me." And most of the time, it's like, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna show you that
It's
I'm with
something
you."
right. Something will at least show up. And see, that's the
Yeah.
thing I love about it is the history. I like to find out the history that's behind all of these places, and then when you have actually something going on, it's pretty exciting.
And sometimes when you investigate a place and you know the history, and you can work on an aspect. For example, I went to investigate a place in here in Ontario called the Beck House. And the owner of the house, called Carl Beck, was the owner of big wood sawmill in the city. It's called Penentenguishene. It's in Ontario. It's like it's a really it's a good word for Scrabble. Lots of points. And
Let's write
Mr.
that one
Beck
down. I play Scrabble, so
and Mr. Beck, even if he was a wood tycoon, beside his house, he planted some trees, and those trees was his prized possession. Those was his trees. Nobody could cut them. And when I went there, I think 3 or 4 weeks prior to when I went there, all the trees were cut down.
oh,
And all the answers were getting, where are my trees and stuff like that. And I was with the girls of Paranormal XP. It was Paige that was under, and it was like Mr. Beck telling us that he was really disappointed that his trees
these
were
trees, they
cut
took us.
down.
I don't blame them. I like trees too.
Yeah, and it's those kind of answers that makes you really think and say, okay, that could be him. And at that exact time, on Spirit Talker, the name Carl, written with a K, exactly like Mr. Beck was writing, came on Spirit Talker.
Right.
And it's like, okay. Like,
Oh well, yeah, it's giving you some kind of confirmation.
yeah. And once again, I can prove out of any doubt that Spirit Talker never uses your microphone, because I did the test to when you go in your settings
Right.
and you go to the place um where in the security, and you go and that's my friend Spotted Ghost that showed me the uh, accessibility. So you go to the accessibility and you go to the microphone and you'll see everything that uses is it that? Well, you see everything that uses your mic, and Spirit Talker is not there, but you see that other where is it? I'm dumb, so I know there's a place that,
So, oh yeah, you shut off access
well,
to that application for the
you
microphone.
yeah, you see the where the apps that ask the permission to use your microphone,
Right, right.
and Spirit Talker is not there. So, and I my friend Spotted Go showed me the kind of code that you need to enter, so the application will ask the permission to use your microphone.
Right.
And that code is not there in Spirit Talker.
Oh,
But he showed
okay.
me that said code in certain other apps that will tell you, oh no, it's not using the microphone, but it is.
And so it's yeah. Well, here Tom says that he was at the. I'm pronouncing this right. I hope Molson Crypt,
Mm,
and
yeah,
they had the spirit talker talking and about the
the
illegitimate daughter of the.
legitimate dark. Yep,
Yeah.
Mr. Molson, the beer, the Molson beer.
Oh, I love Molson beer.
Well, it was the crypt of its founder, because
Oh,
it was founded
okay.
right here in Montreal.
I like Molson beer.
And do you know
And I
why?
don't drink
There,
beer that often, but that one's a good one.
and do you know why there's a ship on the Molson beer?
No.
Because Molson was he wasn't a ship. He owned ships. That was his business before making beers. He was a
Oh.
trader, so he had a big flotilla of ships. So when he created his brewery, well, he was sending his beer back to England.
Do they still make Molson beer? I don't.
Yep, yep.
Okay, because I
Now
haven't.
it's not made in the old Molson factory anymore. They've built a brand new factory outside of
Okay.
Montreal, but the building is still there. They will preserve the old building because everything was started there, and it grew, but
Okay.
everything started there.
Yeah, because I haven't had
Shipyard.
one in years. Yeah, I haven't had one in years. But I've got to be in. I've got to be in the mood. But that's what was one of my favorites when I was younger. I used to drink that all the time. That
Yeah.
oldie. I like Corona. I'm more attracted to
Privacy.
more of the bitter beers than that other stuff that they make around here.
I found it. It's privacy and security.
Yeah.
So those are all the apps that are using the microphone. Oh, look at that.
So yeah, no
Ghost Tube
goes
and Ghost
to
Box.
right. Well, that's
Let's
very
go.
interesting.
Let's go to S. Oh no, Spirit Talker is not there.
Not there. So
So
yeah,
so 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 the people that say that Spirit Talker listens to you,
that's what I'm
Ghost Tube
saying.
you.
Everybody has their opinions about the apps, and it's just that's why I always ask everybody what is their thought, their opinions, other than their experiences with them, because it's different for everybody. You've
Yes,
got
and,
some that
and
love them, some that hate them.
because the thing too is that this is the most powerful computer that you can have and carry around. And most chips that are in our devices are basically apps,
Yeah,
but they just 3D printed a box. They took that chip and stick it into a box instead of sticking it into this one. It's the same thing. It's a program that is put into a chip, into a device.
right.
That's it. It's
It's
just that device is connected to a network. Just take a tablet that it's not connected to a network
right. So he said, yeah, he was a rich importer and settled here in Montreal and
and
started the
start
Molson Company and
and a
banks.
bank. Yeah, the first
Yeah,
bank
so
in
hell,
Montreal.
that's all right. We enjoyed the beer. So, of course, now that
Let-
I've talked about it, I'll probably have to have one this weekend just to. It's
Gave
been
you the taste.
years. Once you become legal age, it's no fun to drink anymore. So why bother? You used to do it when you were younger because you're always afraid of getting caught.
Exactly. Oh, I don't drink anymore. I enjoy my good old cannabis.
Yeah, it's like it's very rare. Holidays, maybe something. Usually when we go camping, that's usually when you let loose. But
Yeah,
it's been a while, so it's because when
once
you're
in a
camping,
while.
you don't have to worry about nothing.
Yeah. Dan's
Woodstown
going
say
there
I
on
will say hi
Saturday,
to him
so
for all right. Will you say hi? Have a drink.
yeah,
Have a
have a
sip
drink.
for
Yeah,
me.
bring a beer.
Bring a beer. It's very funny. Does anybody have any questions for Jeff that we haven't, we hit upon, or come on, tap
Go
into
ahead.
that wealth of knowledge he's got going on there. Always good to have somebody who has as much information that you
Yeah,
have,
thank you. And
because a lot of people
I
don't have any.
I just love reading and watching documentaries, historical documentaries. Like one of my favorite YouTube channels is History Hit, and all those little channels that comes with it.
Right,
Um, I'm always fascinated by all the the findings that scientists can find. And just today, that's my brain, like ADHD. Um, I was watching a documentary on weapons, and when they came and they were talking about spears. They went all the way back to the prehistoric times when they're using spears to hunt.
right,
But when they talked about spears, they talked about the Neanderthal man. The Neanderthal man is extinct.
right,
But when he was alive, the main meal or the main course of the Neanderthal man was bison. Where do you find bison? You don't find bison in Europe.
right.
You find bison
Excuse me.
here. So the people that were here before the native came across from Europe were the Neanderthal.
Right,
But when the Homo sapiens crossed, their knowledge were much advanced than the Neanderthal. And when they came, they hunted. Their hunting methods were more advanced than the Neanderthal. That's why the Neanderthal came extinct because of his lack of knowledge.
right.
But just put it like that: if the ice bridge never happened and that migration from Europe and Asia never come to North America, probably the Neanderthal man would be still around.
It's
Would
actually an
pro-
interesting thing to think about. Yeah, if they didn't take place, what would it be? What would it be like now?
because you have to think that all native tribes, they always say, we've been here 13,000 years. Who were there before them? And
Yeah, very
just
interesting.
that TV show saying that his main course was bison, that bell in my head went ding, and I was like, okay, that's because we're always looking for who was the people that were living in North America
Right.
before the migration of European and Asian Homo sapiens decided to cross over. Because when you look at the Innu or the native, they have Asian traits.
Mm-hmm.
But when I've learned about the Homo sapiens being more advanced than the Neanderthal, that's what pushed the Neanderthal to their extinction. And the main course was bison. I went like, okay, the native people that were here before the Homo sapiens were Neanderthal men.
Mm. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, it gives people a lot of stuff to think about. Uh,
I
it really
love, I
does.
just love kind of not, but when you have those scientists that comes around and tell you that everything you knew in history is like shit. That's what happened. It was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Because there's still a
Like
lot that we don't even know. We just assuming,
the Vikings came inland way before the Europeans came.
right?
Because we have traces of Vikings settled in Newfoundland here in Canada, and we
Right.
have traces of Viking ruins in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and parts here in Quebec, and on the eastern seaboard of the United States also. So they came here
Oh, there was people way before.
way
That's why I
before the
always get what
Europeans.
they say, Columbus Day because he discovered America. How could you discover something that was already here, people already living here? There was nothing to discover. It was they
There
already
were
had
pro-
tribes of people living here.
and the thing is, the sad thing is because when Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas in in the 15th century, they had written records of it, not the Vikings. The
Right.
Vikings had nothing. They were everything was mouth to ear. Everything was,
Right. So yeah,
and
if they would have had some kind of written documentation, history would have been a whole lot different.
we have just like the travels of Eric the Red that came to Newfoundland and his descendants settled in Greenland and stuff like that, and they were coming and trading with the native,
Right.
and scientists discovered that recently. But for hundreds of years, we always thought that Christopher Columbus was the first European to set foot here until
And
one
it's
scientist came around and say, no, the Vikings were here
right.
way before them.
And also it's
And
because though he was supported, by a queen, so obviously he's going to get the recognition.
and the money and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And when he brought back all those goods and those
People.
poor native present them to the Queen of Spain.
Yep.
So
So that's why history is written the way it is. It's just
exactly.
it's always been
So
that way. Money talks.
money and powers and empire talks.
Right. And we will never change until we get rid of all of that.
Mm.
It'll always be the same. That's the sad. As far as we've come, as far as technology and knowledge, we're still nowhere.
Yeah.
Still
We're
nowhere.
probably we're probably guinea pigs for some alien race somewhere in the universe. We don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know if you've noticed the shorts that I posted earlier today. Um, a cousin of mine had posted them, and they're in Arizona, and it was actually alien photographs in Arizona on the 25th of June.
Hmm.
You see, you got to check them out. They're really neat. Somebody says, oh, they're not aliens, but I mean, all right, if they were doctored up pictures, then they did a really good job. But it was pretty interesting,
If
and I thought that everybody would
somebody
enjoy looking at them.
if somebody comes around and say, "Hey, we're alone in that all universe," man, you're dumb as it is.
That's exactly right.
It's like
Because why would
even
we
if
be the only ones that exist?
even if they don't travel in flying saucers, there's
Yeah,
probably somebody else on another rock somewhere in the universe saying,
that's
"Is
right.
there somebody else in the
Yeah,
universe?"
exactly. You're exactly right. I mean, there's no way. We're just, you got to be pretty arrogant to think that we're the only beings, in existence. There's just no way. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure that
There's a
our
smarter group somewhere else.
planets die out, and probably when those planets die out, the technology on those planets is so advanced that they throw away their DNA or their, I don't know, out of the universe, like wishing they were land somewhere and recreate a new species.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
We weren't there. Like there's nobody that was living on Mars that can tell me, yeah, yeah, Mars was like full of people and we like
Yeah,
we
we don't
destroyed the
know.
shit out of it and we had to leave. So we all died, but they sent our DNA across the space and one pod landed on Earth and
Hey, you
you're
never
our
know.
descendants.
So maybe someday we'll figure it out,
That would be like the most easiest way to know it, but we don't know.
right?
It's probably like the guy that created Superman, probably he wasn't that far off left field. Probably he was right on spot. Like some planet was about to blow out and just decided to send whatever they can to
So you had to see the universe, the other
just
planets,
because when the Earth was born, it was like just a ball of magma, and it just it was born. Planets are born and
and they
die.
die. Yeah,
It's like it's I don't remember who said it. It's physics. It's physics. It's astrophysics.
right.
Planets are born and planets die.
Actually, isn't
And
there one going on right about now, or a couple of days ago? They said to check the sky. That one was, yeah, on its way out, and we would be able to see because it was going to be the brightest light in the heavens.
yeah,
And that was like a couple of days ago. I read about that.
yeah,
So,
I think me too. I saw it like what? Oh, tonight discovered
and they said
the
it was going to
meteor.
last for a while. So,
The weather lady was saying like, "Hey, watch the sky. There's
yeah. Well,
a
that's every time something like that happens around here, it's overcast and we miss it. So
yeah." But
it's
we're
really
just a
annoying.
small little rock in the universe.
That's it. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for coming on. I had a great time. I hope you did as well.
I had an awesome time. Even Billy is coming to
Even Billy
say
did. Look at that. He's
good
telling you it's
night.
time to end it there, Dad. I want something. Attention. That's why I always have
that's
to lock all my animals out because then they would be all over.
that's the most bizarre cat I never saw in my life. That cat is not afraid of anybody. You come to my house, he will come and greet you. Hey, hello.
Yeah, that's great.
He doesn't eat treats. And yeah,
No, he's
he's
cute.
kind of weird. He eats freaking oranges and stuff like that. All the stuff that cat hates, he likes.
Yeah, that's yeah. My cat doesn't like oranges either, so that's funny. It's well, hey, it's really you just
And I
have
had
a weird cat.
had an awesome time, Laura. Thank you
I'm glad
so
you did.
much
I
for
did
inviting me.
too.
Thank you for
Look forward to
everyone.
hearing about your new adventures and the new things that you're gonna show us. And
I have to kick myself in the nuts and get the setup downstairs. It's just
get it
sometimes
going.
it's the will, kind of the kicking in the butt. Sometimes I have so much
I
stuff
think
to
we
do
all
around.
are the same because I've got a bunch of photos I took and stuff that
Ah,
I did, and I just gotta figure out the editing program. I have a hard time getting that. So I
yeah,
mean, I've got stuff coming too, and I just haven't
and life in
focused on it.
general sometimes takes so much.
There's just too much going on.
Yeah, taking care of the house and everything.
Yeah, I have a
But
total disaster going on here, but
I'll probably get like the most recent investigations out, and I'll get the old ones out even. But I don't
that'd
know
be
what order, but
fantastic.
I have to get something out
It'll just give
because
us something to look forward to. I want to thank
yeah,
everybody for joining us tonight. We had a great time. I hope somebody got something out of all of Jeff's information because I know I did. And I look
and
forward to the next time, guys. Thank you very,
feel
very
free.
much again, Jeff. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Raw side. Good night, everybody.